Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in bright and early on the West Coast out there, 6 a.m., 9 o'clock, of course, on the East Coast. And everyone in the Central Time Zones and the Mountain Time Zones, hello to you as well. Today, we have a lot of news, as you might expect when it comes to the Trump White House. I mean, there's always either a press conference or the president signing executive orders or a speech. There's so many things going on out there, as you guys know. That's why we see a lot of viewership over these different events that happen throughout the week. So let's do this. Let's go over what will happen today for those of you waking up and turning us on here, right here at Right Side when it comes to this live stream broadcast. Thanks again for doing so. 10 a.m., we'll have a GOP press conference on Capitol Hill. So we'll take you there as soon as we see a live feed. At 11 this morning, the president will meet with the president of Poland, Karol Nawrocki. Now, that greeting will take place on the South Portico, looking live right there on Capitol Hill right now before the GOP press conference. So what that is a stakeout camera right there on Capitol Hill. And if we see someone of note stop by to speak to the press, sometimes there are, obviously there's more than 400 representatives. Do I know every single one of them? No, but we'll do our best as we see people stop by. Again, that's a 10 o'clock press conference today, a GOP leadership press conference. So we're looking forward to having that coverage here live. Also, we do know that as the president meets with the world leader of Poland, we know that they have got a great connection. These guys are both Make America Great Again and Make Poland Great Again, supporters of conservatism, supporters of freedom. So we're looking forward to seeing the two leaders meet and talk at 11:20. So after that South Portico meeting on the South Lawn of the White House, usually the president meets with world leaders on the front lawn there, outside of the West Wing. But this time today, it's going to be on the South Portico, so near the South Lawn there, when the Polish leader pulls up there and the two greet. Then at about 11:20 this morning, the two leaders will have a bilateral meeting in the Oval Office, something that we've grown accustomed to seeing here at Right Side. Of course, you guys see it all the time when the two leaders meet right there in front of the fireplace in the Oval Office. And then after that meeting, 10 times out of 10, not even 9 times out of 10, there is a press conference, so a mini press conference that happens. So, it's really the freshest news of the day. Of course, we have that here for you. We also have a lot of videos to get through, and those videos are all within that 24/7 news cycle, of course. So everything that's happening out there in our world, when it comes to our government and other, news topics, we'll be covering that here at the network. As again, it's 9:03. Wednesday, September 3rd. Again, there's a mutual respect and support between the Polish leader and our president, Donald Trump. Again, both saying make America and Poland great again in their own right. Also today, Vice President J.D. Vance and the Second Lady Usha Vance will visit Minnesota to pay their respects to the victims of the Annunciation Catholic Church shooting. The Vice President's office says Mr. and Mrs. Vance will hold a series of private meetings to convey condolences to the families of those affected by that awful tragedy that, sometimes when you work in the so-called news biz and then you have to report on things that are the most tragic things out there, it's obviously not the easiest thing in the world to do, especially when it's coming from someone that was so brainwashed and indoctrinated and wasn't getting the help that they needed mentally, emotionally. And then on top of that, a spiritual situation that was really, really evil there. So, but as the great A.F. Branco, the cartoonist, so rightly put it, those two, the 8-year-old, the 10-year-old, directly to heaven. So, and as Charlie Kirk put it, that the gunman definitely not making it up that way. All right, so 9:04, Wednesday, September 3rd. That is happening today. So the Vice President and the First Lady, or the Second Lady, Usha Vance, will be in Minneapolis today, as the President will be meeting with the Polish leader. And we have, again, at 10 o'clock, we'll have this GOP press conference. As long as it starts on time, we'll have that for you. Meantime, yesterday, of course, within the 24/7 news cycle, President Trump confirmed that the Illinois National Guard, thank God, will be called into Chicago. So at this hour. There's no timetable on that move, but let's go to clip one, a clip from yesterday's press conference as the president spoke about the Windy City, Chi-Town. Take a look.
Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible.
Great words from the president yesterday. I mean, speaking common sense, if there's a crime problem, you should want police or law enforcement, same thing, right? In this case, the National Guard assisting local law enforcement in a city like Chicago. Those numbers were staggering once again over the weekend. I was monitoring some of the stats here and there over the weekend, and it just is unbelievable to see the amount of people actually shot and killed in Chicago. And then the governor acting like, oh, we don't have a crime problem. And then he's also saying, oh, yeah, it's a city. There's always crime in the city. And then he's also saying things like, okay, well, we don't need federal troops. We don't need the military here, but we want the federal tax dollars. Mason Weaver is a conservative analyst, conservative commentator, conservative author who I ran into over the weekend. You're not going to have to wait to hear what he has to say about why Democrats do exactly that. They'll take the money, but they don't want the troops to fight crime. Interesting, right? We'll get to that in just a minute. Shout out to those of you in Punta Gorda. We'll be going to you guys in just a minute, and look forward to showing some videos from a trip over the weekend with the family on Labor Day weekend. All right, let's go now to All Family Pharmacy. Unfortunately, flu season is here, and the best time to prepare in case or before you get sick. That's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand, from essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications. They have it all. And now you can get even cutting-edge biohacking products like the NAD+, methylene blue, and GLP-1 weight loss medications all in one place. So I'm telling you, this place has got it built up when it comes to a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. No more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. So if you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. So visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN 10 promo code. You'll get that 10% off your order. You can stock up today and have peace of mind for tomorrow. Speaking of great sponsors, All Family Pharmacy over to Monetary Gold. The BRICS Alliance is unfortunately growing, and their goal is pretty simple. What they want to do is destroy the dollar's power. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now more nations are lining up to join. They're building a new digital currency, a currency they'll use instead of the dollar. That means rogue nations can trade without fear of U.S. sanctions, and when the world stops using dollars, your savings lose value overnight. So you don't have to wait for Washington to admit the truth, which they already have when it comes to President Trump and BRICS. But you can also stock up here when it comes to gold, silver, precious metals. Call 888-617-7994. You also see another number there on the screen. You can also go to rsbnforthegold.com. Protect what you've worked for before the BRICS succeed in trying to crash the dollar. 9:10 this morning, Wednesday, September 3rd. Thanks so much for tuning in live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You know, usually I say streaming in live because nobody's really tuning in this signal. This is more of a stream, right? This is not a bunny ears situation back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And some of us still have the antennas out there. I know we did for a while. It's not really the bunny ears anymore. Well, actually, yeah, we do have that. And then also the kind of the black box thing that you put on the wall. And then if you take it off the wall, then the paint comes off too, because you put on whatever, you know what I mean? But thank you so much for streaming in. It's 9:10 this morning, midweek, Wednesday, September 3rd. Okay, let's do this. We know that the president will be meeting with the Polish leader coming up. We also know that at 10 this morning, the GOP will have a press conference. We'll go to that. If we see the vice president and the second lady in Minneapolis attending any event there when it comes to the tragedy that unfolded in Minnesota last week, if we get a live feed within this broadcast, we'll bring that to you. We can also upload and record and upload something like that to Rumble and YouTube and provide you with that latest information. But in the meantime, let's switch gears. I reached a personal milestone today. My first RSBN live stream broadcast was 3 years ago on this date, September 3rd, 2022, while in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pennsylvania. So let's call this the Way Back Wednesday segment. This is a short clip from my first broadcast right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to that video clip too. And the arena, you know, just about 30 minutes ago was not this packed. At this point, even behind the media risers, some of the seats aren't the greatest, but people don't care. They're here. They're ready to watch the president. They want to, you know, especially after Biden's speech on Thursday, I'm very curious to see what President Trump has to say today. You know, I know he goes off prompter, but I think tonight he's going to come out pretty tough. Good times there. September 3rd, 2022. I was in Pennsylvania, my home state. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife, was with me as well. So it was pretty cool to experience that rally in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. And I would not want to play a clip from a rally without seeing We the People, like you saw there. I wasn't even on camera there. I didn't want to show that part. I get enough of that here. Thank God for that. But I wanted to show the crowd. Speaking of showing the crowd, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton crowd in 2022, on my first day working here at Right Side, it was electric there in the Keystone State, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And this is pretty awesome because they were electric, of course, as they waited for the man, the myth, the legend, Donald J. Trump. Here's that video I took 3 years ago. Today, clip 3. Take a look. Man, conservative media sure beats mainstream media any day of the week, because in the mainstream media, you have to be along this false narrative. You have to report, and, you know, whether you're an anchor or a reporter in the field, every script is either written by a producer or you write them, but they have to be approved. And it's a lot of control over there on the mainstream media side when it comes to things like censorship. But not only that, just we already know what the left liberal leaning lamestream media, as the great late Rush Limbaugh called them back in the day. And so to be free in the sense of on the right side of history, where you can speak freely, right? You can say, hey, I love God, family, and country. President Trump, win that election. You know, it's okay to say it. Outside of that, of course, we also have news reporting and covering various live events that you guys see here at the network. And then there's just a lot of stories going on throughout the country as well. Speaking of a story, just yesterday, U.S. Space Command is going from Colorado, which I believe Colorado is one of the most beautiful states, actually beautiful land masses on Earth. Having worked in Western Colorado, gorgeous, gorgeous state. Unfortunately, the politics don't really reflect how gorgeous the state is. Free Tina Peters, by the way. I mean, this is ridiculous that she has to go through all this, as she was just trying to make sure that there was a free and fair election. Anyway, so, and as President Trump just said, if there's mail-in ballots or mail-in voting that's still going on, that leads to corruption. That leads to a election that isn't good. So President Trump, I'm sure, soon will be tackling 19 out of 20. So that's the 19th core promise out of 20 to the American people about securing our elections. So as soon as there's an announcement for that, we'll bring that to you, of course. Meantime, yesterday, within the 24/7 news cycle, the U.S. Space Command is going to Huntsville, Alabama, now known as Rocket City. Clip 4. Take a look.
So I want to thank you all for being here for this important announcement, 7 years in the making. As you know, this has been going on for a long period of time, and I am thrilled to report that the U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City. Okay, so Huntsville, Alabama, we love Alabama.
The founders envisioned not just a free nation, but one strong enough to preserve that freedom. As the United States stands on the threshold of 250 years of freedom, U.S. Space Command carries that legacy forward into the newest warfighting domain. From protecting the space architecture critical to the joint force to enabling the systems that drive economic prosperity and national defense. Space superiority ensures our military can move, decide, and strike faster than any adversary, and ensures those who threaten our way of life are met with credible consequences. Marking a key chapter in its growth, U.S. Space Command highlights a year of command and control that strengthened our warfighting advantage. We've conducted multinational operations in space, led large-scale war games across domains, enhanced battle space awareness using AI and machine learning, and demonstrated real-world sensor integration to maintain decision advantage. We're optimizing space operations, strengthening vital partnerships, protecting the joint force and the freedoms it was built to defend. From the ultimate high ground to the last tactical mile, we are U.S. Space Command.
In my first term, I created a thing called Space Force, so important. You know, we were losing the race in space very badly to China and to Russia, and now we're far and away number one in space, and reestablished Space Com with a mission to protect American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the Spacecom headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration. And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be.
All right, so Rocket City, USA, Huntsville, Alabama, and thanks to my director for pointing out, you know, I remember hearing about this AAA team back in the day. They're called the Rocket City Trash Pandas. That's right, the AAA baseball team, Rocket City Trash Pandas. Now, I believe that the fans are the ones that voted for that name for that team. So the Rocket City Trash Pandas, AAA baseball. But outside of that, you're going to have the Golden Dome for America being built. You're going to have the United States Space Force based there in Huntsville. Already a great NASA museum there, Space Camp. I mean, Huntsville's the spot. This is awesome to see that for Huntsville, Alabama. Great to see that for this great state. All right, so let's move on to a number of sponsors before we continue on our live broadcast here. Let's go to callsheet.com/RSBN. So there's so many things to talk about out there, so many things to bet or trade or check out the polls on. Well, you can do that with our great sponsor, callsheet.com, or get the app. So if you're looking to check things out when it comes to science or technology, sports, faith, politics, weather, all sorts of questions that people ask on there, and they actually bet, trade, and just check out polls on there. There's more than 1 million users on callsheet.com. So you can check it out if you'd like. Great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go from one great sponsor to another, angelpace.com. Out of Spring, Texas, of course, there are a number of products, including the Miracle Cream there. They have a number of other products that are all based on helping your skin. So that's always great. Angelpaste.com. Use the RSBN promo code. You'll get that discount off as well. They hire military veterans, longtime sponsor here at Right Side. So always great when you get a chance to support not only Right Side Broadcasting Network, but indirectly you support us through purchasing products. And obviously you're helping out small businesses. And we're going to get to that in a minute about a small business that I recently visited with some friends. And I was in Florida over the weekend for Labor Day, and we'll get to that in just a second. But let's go to one more sponsor here at Right Side. Cove Pure. Obviously, this is great because I don't know about you, but I like water, right? And I don't want to drink tap water. So this is the stuff to get right here. So you've heard us talk about Cove Pure before, and of course for good reason. It's because we believe that clean drinking water is one of the best investments you can make for your family's health. Here's something you might not realize. When people take medications, their bodies don't absorb all of it. Much of that stuff gets flushed down a toilet, and water treatment plants are horrible at filtering out those leftover pharmaceuticals, things like antibiotics. This is tough to listen to, but it's true. Antibiotics, antidepressants, and even hormone disruptors from birth control pills. No wonder our society is so messed up when it comes to all these things. Thank God for making America healthy again. Luckily, Cove Pure is lab certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. That includes fluoride, PFAs, agricultural runoff, and of course, pharmaceutical drugs. So the first thing you're going to notice with Cove Pure is the taste. Guys, this is what water is supposed to taste like. Pure, clean, no aftertaste. You actually want to drink more. And Cove Pure makes it so easy. It sits on your countertop, no plumbers, no drilling. You just fill it up and plug it in. You can even select whatever temperature you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. You wouldn't take a stranger's drug prescription, so why accept their leftovers in your water? Whew, man, that doesn't sound good. Protect yourself, of course, with that link below. You see it, covepure.com/RSBN. For a limited time, you'll get a special discount of $200 off Cove Pure. Man, once you go to that Cove Pure, you're not going to be going to tap water. I mean, this is great stuff, great sponsor here, along with all of our sponsors at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 9:22. Those of you waking up on the West Coast, maybe you've already been awake for a while, drinking some coffee, thanks for streaming in. We have a lot of news to get to, as I saw on our Truth Social post. Just a big news day. It's true. There's a lot going on. We're going to go over all of that. Why don't we do that now? For those of you that just started to stream in live, 10 a.m., we have a GOP leadership press conference. 11 a.m., President Trump will greet the president of Poland, Karol Nawrocki. That greeting will take place at the South Portico, so on the other side of the White House, there on the South Lawn. At 11:20, the two leaders will meet in the Oval Office with reporters' questions to follow, as is customary. Obviously, we know, for those of you that do know, there's a mutual respect and support between these two leaders, both saying "Make America and Poland great again" in their own right. So great to see that. We'll be looking forward to seeing the Polish leader. So again, 10 a.m., GOP press conference. Then the president will meet with the Polish leader. They'll have that 11:20 meeting with the reporters' questions to follow, which is always must-watch streaming, in my opinion. It's great to see President Trump crush the fake news like he does. All right, so we know that the vice president will be in Minneapolis today, along with his wife, the Second Lady, Usha Vance, to pay their respects to the victims of the Annunciation Catholic Church shooting. They will hold a series of private meetings to convey condolences to the families of those affected by that tragedy. So that'll be in Minnesota. We don't have a time yet specifically. We do know that the vice president has left the Washington, D.C. area, and he's on his way to Minnesota. Within that 24/7 news cycle, we've been going over a number of videos as well, talking about U.S. Space Command, talking about Chicago, talking about way back Wednesday, as today is the 3-year anniversary since I started working at Right Side. So September 3rd, 2022. We'll play that video a bit later for those of you that just joined us. Let's get back on track, though, and continue on with some more of the news that we're following here at the network. Now, this is something that, usually it's within the 24/7 news cycle, right? So it's something that is fresh or the latest. But President Trump posted this about a week ago, and I didn't get a chance to read this on the air, and I want to read this because I think it's an important post. So let's go to clip 5 there, and I'll read this to you. I know that's small lettering, but he said the Republican Party is doing really well. Millions of people have joined us in our quest to make America great again. We won every aspect of the presidential election, and based on the great success we're having, are poised to win big in the midterms. We have raised far more money than the Democrats and are having a great time fixing all of the country destroying mistakes made by the Biden administration and watching the USA heal and prosper. The results are incredible, a record pace, the president says. In that light, I am thinking of recommending a national convention to the Republican Party just prior to the midterms. It has never been done before. Stay tuned. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. If there's one place that I would think would be fun, and it has to do with this past weekend. On Labor Day weekend, my family and I were visiting some friends down on the southwest coast of Florida. And you have Punta Gorda, you have Port Charlotte, you have Fort Myers, just a bit further south, Naples, of course, a bit further north, Sarasota. Why not hold that national convention right there on the Gulf of America? That'd be pretty cool. And I think my friends that I met at this coffee shop you're about to meet in a little bit will really like that too. And hopefully I'll get to go to something like that. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? So that would be next year. But all right, so let's get back on track again as it's approaching the bottom of the hour. It's 9:26, Wednesday, September 3rd. Let's now go to the Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who posted a video about the Epstein files within this 24/7 news cycle. That's clip 6. Let's take a look.
I was the second co-sponsor on Thomas Massey's resolution. After reading the entire resolution, I think it's very good. It's well written. It protects the victims, and it provides the transparency that the country deserves, and most importantly, the survivors deserve. Yes, I will be proudly signing the discharge petition.
Why is it important to do this in addition to what the Oversight Committee is doing?
Me personally, and I believe in transparency on all levels. And this shouldn't have been a battle, and unfortunately, it has been one. And you know, as a woman myself, as a mother of 2 daughters, I can't imagine any young girl or any young woman being victimized and having the government and different people in power and basically a cabal of powerful, rich people, as well as the government, cover this up and not prosecute these monsters. And so, yes, I'll probably sign the discharge petition, and I'll probably vote for it when it comes to the floor.
Are there files that the Department of Justice has, you believe, that would be some sort of smoking gun, or that would be some sort of thing that would really... Is there something specific that you know exists that you were trying to get, or is this in case there is something?
So I think all of us are learning as we go, and from what I learned today in our meeting, it was very lengthy, and there was a lot of information given gratefully. Those are some of the most courageous women I've ever met. These are women that have never truly received justice and have gone out and named names and done everything they can, and they have been failed horrifically. But there's information, but it lies in different places. One place is in the case in New York. Another place would lie within the estate, Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Other information would lie within the FBI and Department of Justice, and that information we are being given, thankfully, on the Oversight Committee. We're being given a lot of information. There's also information in civil cases and trials. So there's information in many different places, and it'll require quite a pursuit to get it.
Have you heard from White House officials who are trying to undercut this discharge petition at this moment?
I haven't talked to anybody from the White House trying to undercut it, no.
Have GOP leaders asked you not to sign it?
No, I haven't been asked to not sign it.
Speaker Johnson said that the discharge petition, in his view, is essentially moot because of the oversight's investigation investigation. Do you agree with that? What do you make of that?
Well, I just stated right here before, so I'll just repeat that I personally, as a woman and a mother of 2 daughters, think that at every level we should be trying to provide transparency. And we need to do this for victims of sexual assault and child abuse and sex abuse. And we need to do this for survivors. It needs to happen for these survivors of this cabal of people that allowed this abuse and kept this abuse going for so long with Jeffrey Epstein and others. But it needs to be done for survivors all over our country. It just is. So I'm on board with every level. It's totally fine with me. To me, it crosses every line. And I'm happy. I was the second co-sponsor of Thomas Massey's resolution. I'm happy to sign the discharge.
Do you want the speaker to, I mean, you could just bring this to the floor, right? It's Mr.
Well,
Massey's
I said in
resolution.
in this defense of Speaker Johnson, I sat by him in our meeting. I listened to his compassion for these survivors. I listened to his questions. I've listened to some of his plans that he has going forward. So I do think he's doing a great job there. So I just think we need to do everything we can to bring it out. And I think that requires a lot of people working together for once for these survivors, instead of there being efforts that's happened for years to block it.
All right, so that happened, of course, just within that 24/7 news cycle on Capitol Hill there. The representative MTG speaking to the press about the Epstein files. Also, when you think about investigations and that kind of thing, it's hard not to think about things like the Russia hoax and the DOJ criminal investigation into those involved into that. So there's just a lot of news that may, develop over the next, week, month, year, who knows? We'll track it with you here at Right Side. On top of cover, the news of the day. And on top of that, these live events, of course, at 10 a.m., we're looking at about 28 minutes from now, a GOP press conference. And then at 11 o'clock, the president will meet the Polish leader. We'll get into all the specifics about that and cover that with you. Thanks so much for choosing Right Side Broadcasting Network. Glad to have you here on this Wednesday, September 3rd. We can't do any of this without our great sponsors and those of you that donate to the network. But let's go to one of our great sponsors, allfamilypharmacy.com. Unfortunately, of course, flu season is here, and the best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. So that's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on-hand medications, from essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications. They have it all. And now you can even get cutting-edge biohacking products like NAD+, methylene blue, GLP-1, weight loss medications, all in one place. And I'm telling you, they've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. So no more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews your every order and writes the prescription for you. So if you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code. You'll get 10% off your order. You can stock up today and have peace of mind for tomorrow. Let's go now from a great sponsor, All Family Pharmacy, to Tax Network USA. The number is simple, 800-357-1415. If you missed any back taxes, all you do is give them a call. At least get the ball rolling, get that peace of mind financially. So maybe you missed a year, 2018, 2019, whatever year. But these guys, they're going to help you out. These are great patriots there. You can settle your back taxes today, or at least get that ball rolling. Go to tnusa.com/RSBN. 800-357-1415 is the number. Great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 9:34 Wednesday, September 3rd. Let's go now to a video not from the United States government. This is not something I usually do, but you know what? It's okay, because if you think about it, this is going to be clip 8, Director. People that want freedom and love freedom, right? We talk about freedom all the time here, the free world. Well, today, the Polish leader, Nawrocki, the president, right? The people of Poland want Poland to be made great again. President Trump and the new leader of Poland are on the same side of history, the right side of history, all about freedom. So I went to their government account on X, and This video, again, President Nawrocki is a huge supporter of President Trump and freedom. And I want to show you this video. This is just from Poland. So what's it like out there when it comes to the support for the great leader of Poland who's visiting our great leader, President Trump? Clip 8, take a look. All right, so you saw there a video from Poland. If you're just streaming in now, you're like, why the heck do I see that flag and not the United States flag? Well, I just want to let you know, of course, that the Polish leader will be meeting President Trump at 11 o'clock. The President Karol Nawrocki of Poland. Apparently he's a boxer, too. There's a pretty cool cat there. That greeting will take place at the South Lawn, or the South Portico. Then the two leaders will have a meeting in the Oval Office at about 11:20. And again, there's mutual respect and support between the two leaders, both saying things like make America great again, make Poland great again in their own right. So I'm a supporter just like you guys are. You know, we're supporters of anybody that is on the right side of history, that's for the cause of freedom, for the free world. And that's that. All right, so it's 9:37, Wednesday, September 3rd. There's a couple other videos we're going to go to here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to clip number 7, I believe. This is Customs Border Protection. There's an update along the border wall there. Did you know that there's some sort of rumor going around? That's not made up by me. The government's saying that. Check out clip 7.
So I know there's some rumors out there propagated by the criminal organizations, put out on social media, telling people that it's time now to make their illegal entry, that our asylum laws have changed, and that this is the place to come in and effect that entry. I want to stop you right there. Nothing has changed. Our border is the most secure border on record. We have shut down the border. We have our partners from DOD and the United States Border Patrol patrolling 24/7, 365. You cannot come into the country. It is a crime to come into the country illegally. You will be arrested, you will be prosecuted, and you're gonna find yourself here at the Service Processing Center in El Paso, Texas, or one of the many ICE ERO facilities across the country. You will be removed and deported to your home country, and you will not be able to come back to the United States. Catch and release is over.
Great to see that video from the border protection agent there. I mean, this is what it's all about. And, you know, the first promise to the American people out of the 20 was to seal the border. And then number 2 is the mass deportation operation. Director, if we can go to clip 10 now, this is speaking of Homeland Security. ICE has made its 5,000th arrest in Los Angeles recently. Here's that video, clip 10. So there you go. There's an update from Homeland Security. As you know, the majority of the country, we want law and order. We want freedom for our people, and we want the sealing of the border. We want mass deportation. So when the left-wing media tries to act like there's a bazillion people out there that are against this, it's not true. And then on top of that, you got or you have people like J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson in Chicago and Illinois and acting like what the president's doing is so terrible. We'll take your federal tax dollars, but we don't want the federal troops because the tax dollars are going to help, cut down on crime. Right. Wait till you hear what Mason Weaver has to say about that. And if you're like, who's Mason Weaver? Well, he's a conservative analyst, a conservative commentator, a conservative author who I ran into over the weekend. My family and I were visiting Punta Gorda, Florida over the weekend. There's a lot of cool videos coming up. Hope you stay tuned and watch that. But obviously, you'll be staying tuned because we have a GOP press conference coming up and then President Trump meeting the Polish leader. So we're looking forward to all of that coverage coming up here in just a second. Let's stick with the whole war on, the narcotics, the illegal activity. As you guys know, let's look at Clip 11's post. President Trump said this earlier this morning. So yesterday, on my orders, U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility. So I'm going to keep reading this post there as you see on your screen. TDA is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, responsible for mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and acts of violence and terror across the United States and Western Hemisphere. The strike occurred while the terrorists were at sea in international waters transporting illegal narcotics heading to the United States. The strike resulted in 11 terrorists killed in action. No U.S. forces were harmed in this strike. Please let this serve as notice to anybody even thinking about bringing drugs into the United States of America. Beware. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then check out the bottom of the post there. There's something that President Trump has not ever done before. There's a bazillion exclamation points at the bottom. He's not kidding around. And to show he's not kidding around, here's clip 12 of the actual attack. Now, before we go to it, do we have to remember what it's like to have this fentanyl that has crossed the border? I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. Let's just take a look at clip 12. I don't usually show a video like that. I don't want to have to show a video like that. But what unfortunately happened in our country, we have had people that have lost their lives because people are making money off of death. They're bringing in narcotics that are killing our people. And President Trump declared them a terrorist organization. So these drug cartels are no longer, just a drug cartel making a bunch of drugs that we're going to make a bunch of money off of, and it's going to kill our people. So they're a terrorist organization. So that's why I made the kind of manager editing kind of decision, even though I'm not a managing editor here, but to play that video. And on top of that, the president of the United States posted the video. So it's newsworthy, and I did. And how many other networks will? Who cares? Most of the mainstream media is a bunch of lies anyway. And as I saw from this coffee shop who we're about to dive into here in a minute, they had a bumper sticker there, an old school bumper sticker, had the CNN logo and said fake news. We're not the fake news. We're on conservative media on the right side of history, and so glad you're here with us. Now, after those intense videos, let's do this. We showed a video about Poland earlier, and because we know that the people of Poland are like us in the sense of we want freedom, and we like our leader, and they like their leader in Poland. We like our leader here, but let's do this. Back here in the States, the Department of Homeland Security, Clip 9 director, posted a video a few days ago titled, "Never Forget What We're Fighting For, Patriot." Take a look. America the Beautiful, that posted by the Department of Homeland Security just the other day. So sometimes it's nice to just listen to some music, especially a very patriotic feel with that video. If you've never been to Western Colorado, Eastern Utah, please give it a try, because the Colorado National Monument, you have Telluride down there in Colorado. You have the Arches National Park in Utah. I used to work in Grand Junction, right there on the line. For those of you watching in Colorado, it's a little early out there. What time is it? It's, 7:46? But, gorgeous scenery. Again, I love the state of Colorado's beauty. I love all these states. I've been to a lot of them. But unfortunately, Colorado has a lot of stuff they have to take care of when it comes to politics and voting. And again, whenever I think of Colorado, or whenever I think of someone like Tina Peters, I think, hey, free Tina Peters. That's something that we've seen from President Trump talking about that. I mean, she was, again, just trying to make a free and fair election happen. Anyway, so if you get a chance to go out there to Western Colorado, it's a beautiful area. Wonderful to see some images of our beautiful country. We're about to talk about southwestern Florida. Before we do, let's talk about Minnesota indirectly, MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell, of course, free shipping sale right there, MyPillow.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN promo code, saves you that discount. You get that free shipping, a lot of great products, more than 2,000 products literally on that site. Now, there might be variations, of course, of all the pillows and the slides and the slippers and all the different stuff, but still, great products right there at MyPillow.com/RSBN. And if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. Also, you can go to rsbnetwork.com/RSBN. You can also, and we know that there are some that do this on a monthly basis, so thank you to those RSBN donors out there that send in checks and cash to this network. We have a P.O. box for that all to go to. That is at 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you again for donating to Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so we're about 12 minutes out from the GOP press conference. We're about an hour and 12 minutes out from the President of the United States greeting the leader of Poland. We're looking forward to all this coverage today. Thanks so much for waking up with us, or if you've been awake for a few hours, thanks so much for streaming in. I'd like to give a special shout out to the Bean on 41 coffee shop in Punta Gorda, Florida. My family and I were on vacation over Labor Day weekend, and we ran into a pro-Trump establishment. And when I say pro-Trump, I mean it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Trumpy Town. Clip 13, check it out.
USA! 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 USA!
Okay, so you get the idea. We have people in Punta Gorda that love President Trump, love our country, just like you guys all across our nation. Think about all the small businesses out there that are pro-Trump businesses. I mean, this one, wow. So we're going to do this. I'm going to make a video that is all of it, together, showing the coffee shop, showing various interviews. But I do have a few clips of what I'm working on. And again, all of it done with this iPhone and a microphone attachment. It is what it is. But it's cool because it's like technology these days. You can do things like that. Get that video there. If you don't know, I'm pretty pumped up to be able to meet people that are out there in the field like that. And because, that's what this network was founded on, is being with the people and the rallies and all of that. And that's not going to ever be lost by me personally, by people here at the network, and I believe in conservative media. That is what this is all about. It's all of us together, we the people. We the people. And just because I'm wearing a suit and it looks more like I am a news guy, I don't care. I like being with you guys. It's fun. It was great. And I interviewed the owner, Haley Mercer. Clip 14, she is awesome, on fire for this country, loves President Trump. Take a look at clip 14.
I could not live without him, and not at this point. I have given everything I have to keep this place open so that we can stay together. And I've got people worldwide every state in this country that come here and tell me, ooh, we could never have this where we come from. Yeah, you can. It takes courage. Stand up. Courage is contagious. Make it happen.
So then from there, after the USA chants, a few interviews, we were all talking with each other just about the country, just like you guys do at coffee shops, diners, restaurants, with friends, with family, on the phone, on the internet. We're all saying the same things pretty much, right? Hey, we love God, we love family, we love our country, we love freedom. We love the fact that we have a leader who's a badass at the White House kicking, you know what, for our country. We have a great cabinet that's before us that he has selected. We want to see the people that have broken the law held accountable. We want the 20 core promises to be the cemented in restoration of our country, the reforms that are needed. So it's when you're out there, it kind of refreshes you. It gives you a little revitalization. You know, a lot of times we're here in the studio. It's great. And I love connecting with you here, but being out there, man, being with the people sometimes is awesome as well. So let's continue on. So after that interview, I didn't know, but Haley said, we have a bunch of flags. We go on the side of the road there and we wave the flags. I said, are you serious? This is becoming a mini rally going on. Let's look at clip 15 of that.
Me and said, young man, take a walk up the street. It's a place there. Call the YMCA. They can start. Me and said, young man, take a walk up the street. It's a place there. Call the YMCA. They can start. Me.
All right, so it's like, okay, I'm having too much fun at this point. Again, this is, if you're just joining us over Labor Day weekend, my family and I were in Punta Gorda. That is the Bean on 41 coffee shop called Trumpy Town. They love President Trump. They love freedom, just like the majority of this country. All right, so after the flag waving, after the USA chants, after some of the interviews, I ran into one of the patrons there, somebody that is on the right side of history. And he's also a conservative author and has also helped out when it comes to the campaign with President Trump in years past. His name is Mason Weaver. And we spoke about President Trump, Chicago, the Democrat playbook, as he was once a Democrat. This is a video you're not going to see in the mainstream media. Clip 17. Take a look.
He's a true patriot. He understands the core problems of America, and him and his family have sacrificed their wealth, their security, their comfort to address the problem. That means this man loves America, and therefore I love him.
Thoughts about the National Guard in the city of Chicago and anywhere across the country. What would you say to maybe the mayor, Brandon Johnson, or the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, when they say what they say?
I understand Democrats. I was a Democrat, Black Panther. I understand Democrats. They hate security, they hate progress, they hate prosperity. They go to control misery. So everything they're going to do is make everybody misery. They own every ghetto in America. They will take over a prosperous city and make it a hellhole because they get their money from grants. You got a crime problem, give me a grant for a crime. They got a school problem. And they make their living off of your misery. They will never bring prosperity, they will never bring clarity, and they're unpatriotic. That's what I think about Democrats. Look at the Democrat people. Look at the people in the Democrat Party. They're abandoning Democrat principles because they see the garbage, they see the nonsense. They see them fighting Trump to reduce crime. They see them fighting Trump to reduce abortions. They see them fighting Trump on illegal aliens. They want chaos, they want debt, they want crime, and Trump is saying no more of this stuff. So you see these mayors standing up, they're puppets. You know, they're all black. There's a reason why. The DEI, they put these clowns in knowing they're incompetent to help them steal. But the American people, black and white, we no longer see color. We no longer see the garbage. The nonsense is no longer working. We want our nation back. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I love this country, and I will expose these clowns as much as I can. I do not tolerate anyone coming against my America.
I mean, come on, right? Holy smokes. Again, the mainstream media would have never touched that interview. And if they did, they would try and poke holes in it. There's nothing to poke holes. There's a guy at a coffee shop. He's speaking freely about his support for being a conservative. Ooh, mainstream media. Oh, no, we can't have people that are white and black getting along and all this stuff. We hate it. As he said, it doesn't matter about all of that. What matters is joining together, being on the right side of history. Come on now. All right, I'm probably going to have Mason on the broadcast one of these times, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. But we're going to get to some more interviews in just a second. But let's look at what the White House just posted recently, the Chicago crime map. Look at that. All those red dots, different crimes going on, whether it's a carjacking, whether it's robbery, whether it's rape, whether it's murder, whether it's a shooting, whether it's an assault. There's all sorts of crap going on there. And President Trump yesterday saying, you know what, we're going in. That was news. I was watching the broadcast here and I posted it. I said, update. President Trump confirms that the Illinois National Guard, he didn't say Illinois National Guard, he just said the National Guard, but that is what would be happening. The Illinois National Guard is going to be dispatched to the streets there and work along local law enforcement. And then the governor and the mayor's like, hey, police officers, Chicago PD, don't work with the ICE people and don't work with... It's not the majority of the country. The majority of the country wants law and order. It's pretty simple. It's called cleaning up crime. Is there a problem, Mr. Pritzker? I still can't believe Pritzker said yesterday, we'll take the federal tax dollars, but we don't want the troops. Wait, do I need to play Mason Weaver's soundbite again to you, sir? Mason Weaver said the reason why these Democrat leaders like to crush great cities is because they take the grant money because they say, we have a problem called crime. Let's throw money at it. We're making money off of misery. We're speaking truth here. You tell it like it is because why else? Why do anything else, right? Anyway. Let's go back to Punta Gorda one more time. So Logan Earwood, he was a military veteran, or he is a military veteran. He sees a resurgence of pride within the military. Let's go to clip 18.
Well, I fought for freedom. I'm actually a military veteran. So it means the world to me. When we had Obama and then Joe Biden in, the censoring on social media was going insane. I mean, it was just... They were censoring free speech, which is a First Amendment protected right. And I'm just like, this is not okay. They're taking our freedoms slowly. It's not what I fought for.
Isn't it great to have President Trump as the commander-in-chief?
Oh, absolutely. I actually met more people because I do Lyft on the side, and they were ecstatic. They're like, yeah, now that Trump's back in, I'm going into the military. I met one guy who was going into the infantry. I literally picked him up the night before he shipped out for basic training. So it's good to see the younger generation getting involved with the military again.
Okay, so we'll have more from Southwest Florida in the coming days. I'm going to put together a video of all the interviews done there. And everyone loves, of course, MAGA. And there was a couple people I interviewed that also love MAHA, right? Make America Healthy Again, RFK Jr., just the whole thing of what's going on. So we're going to get to some more of those interviews in the coming days, putting together a whole video there. In the meantime, if you're just joining us, you're like, what the heck's going on? Well, this coffee shop in Punta Gorda, Punta Gorda, Florida, the southwest coast of Florida. My family and I were there for Labor Day weekend. And my buddy says to me, hey, there's this place that shows RSBN on the TV all the time and loves Trump. I said, what? Let's check it out. So we did. And if you want to follow me on Truth Social, at Matthew Alvarez, I posted some videos there. I'm going to make a video and post it or air it here. But if you're just joining us, let's do this. Before we get into our next sponsor, as it's 10 o'clock this morning, let's go to Director the USA chant and then the flag waving. And if we could put that back to back just to show people that are just streaming in those two videos. And then we will get to our sponsors and move on with our broadcast, as there's a lot of news going on today. Of course, any minute from now, we'll be seeing that GOP press conference. Then we'll be seeing the President of the United States meeting the Polish leader, Nawrocki, which is going to be awesome because both conservatives, of course, on the right side of history, and it's great to see world leaders that believe and think and live life in a common sense way and have common sense policies. So we'll have all of that coming up. But in the meantime, let's just, for fun, real quick, let's go back to that coffee shop for the USA chant, the flag waving, and then we'll move on after that.
USA! 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 Me and said, young man, take a walk up the street. It's a place there. Call the YMCA. They can can start.
People were beeping. People were, honking their horns, waving. I remember there was a kid in the back seat, rolled the window down, Donald Trump. I mean, all of that. It was a good time. If you haven't noticed, I had a good time. It was great. Good job, guys. Thank you so much for, allowing us in there at your coffee shop. And, these are the small businesses that run our country. So a shout out to you guys. A shout out to everybody, throughout this country that have coffee shops, diners, and you put up hey, the 2020 election was rigged bumper sticker like this coffee shop did. Like, this is the real stuff, We like the real stuff. That's why President Trump's in office. He's a real guy. He's an outsider. He wasn't a politician. He already was successful and is successful. Like, he didn't need to prove anything other than probably to himself that he can be the president of the United States. And, man, he's doing a kick-ass job. And we want to see more wins. We want to see more wins. It's not just sit back now and be like, okay, we're here. There's still work to be done. We know that. A lot more wins to happen. We've seen a lot of them. We still want to see those that broke the law be held accountable. We want our country to be fully saved, even post-President Trump. I don't want this to be like a hoorah, this is great, woohoo, 3 more years, we have Trump. And then, oh God, 2029's here, and if we don't win the next election, have someone like Gavin, you know what I mean? He would reverse all the policies. But what we can do is we have the majority of the country on our side, massive majority. So if we clean up the elections, we don't have to say anymore too big to rig. They'll be cleaned up because I know President Trump and the team's working on some huge secure election policy and all that. But I want 2029 and into the future to be the way we are now. I don't want to go toward what the UK has recently done. Oh, you posted something against the Prime Minister. We're going to come knock on your door. Screw that, man. I don't want that in our country. Right? So I love the wins. I love the wins. Trust me. Let's keep on keeping on. We are literally fighting for our freedom. President Trump's the one that told us to do it. We saw what happened in Butler, PA. This is, all right, let me get dramatic for a hot second. This is literally life or death because think about it. They tried to take him out. Lawfare against the president. Lawfare against our leader. Weaponization against the people. So though it's a great time, though we feel really good, or at least I do, and I know some of you out there do, some might be still concerned, I get it. But we really want to just win, It's okay to be undefeated. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep going. Before I get to the sponsor, I just want to share with you an upcoming schedule that we're hearing for President Trump on September 11th, which is just next week. It's been 24 years since September 11th. The president, we're told from Fox that we saw a report out there that he will be attending the New York Yankees game to honor the 9/11 victims. So the 24th anniversary of 9/11, President Trump apparently is going to be in the Bronx at the New York Yankees game. If you remember back in the day when George W. Bush threw out that first pitch after 9/11, I believe it was in October, and the announcer said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, George W. Bush," and the crowd's chanting USA, and he pitches a nice pitch and all that. And then when George W. Bush stood on that rubble. Now, don't worry. I'm talking GW. Wait for the context. He's on that rubble, and he has that megaphone, and I've watched this clip a million times. You think about it. The commander-in-chief, the president of the United States, he's on the rubble after 9/11, and he's saying things like, the terrorists who knocked these buildings down, they'll hear from all of us soon, right? Because the firefighters couldn't hear what he was saying. The president, he's like, speak louder. He says, I'll speak louder. And the terrorists who knocked these buildings down, they'll hear from all of us soon. And the place went nuts. Everybody's chanting USA. And I'm in college. I'm watching this thing like, what the heck's going on? This is great. This is great. We have a country that's coming together after this terrible incident, this terrible tragedy. I used to work in New York City. I heard the stories, all right? And I know you know the stories. You can watch it on the internet. They're posting pictures of loved ones on the news vans because they were missing. But to the point, Those are the only two things that I like about George W. Bush, is that he threw out the first pitch after 9/11, and then he stood on the rumble and said, we're going to go take care of the terrorists. But then, unfortunately, what he did was bring us into a war that we shouldn't have gotten into, lied to the American people, receiving bogus information about weapons of mass destruction. Where's George W. Bush now when it comes to our country? Where is he now? Why hasn't he said anything? Is it because he's part of the Uniparty? Is it because he's connected to things that are not everyday America? I'm not a fan of G-Dub, trust me, or Obama, or Clinton. We can continue that if we want. But anyway, 10:06, Wednesday, September 3rd. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy, great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Unfortunately, flu season's here, so the best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. That's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand, from the essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, and antivirals, to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications. They have it all. And now you can get even the cutting-edge biohacking products like NAD+, methylene blue, GLP-1, these weight loss medications, all in one place. So I'm telling you, they've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. No more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. So if you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, and use that RSBN 10 promo code. You'll save 10% off your order. You can stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Great independent pharmacy, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. It's 10:08 Eastern, Wednesday, September 3rd. Let's go to Monetary Gold. You've heard us talk about a number of great products at Monetary Gold, but the BRICS Alliance, it's growing. Their goal is simple: to destroy the dollar's power. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now more nations are lining up to join. They're building up a new digital currency, a currency they'll use instead of the dollar. So that means rogue nations can trade without fear of U.S. sanctions. And when the world stops using dollars, your savings lose value overnight. Obviously, Washington, D.C., speaking about this recently when it comes to President Trump, he knows all about the BRICS nations. You can call 888-617-7994 now, or visit rsbnforthegold.com. Protect what you've worked for before the BRICS succeed in crashing the dollar. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but they're definitely working on trying to make that happen. All right, let's do this. Let's go over what we're covering today. Of course, the GOP press conference is happening soon. Director, I'm not sure what we just popped up on the screen there. Okay, if this is the House GOP, that's not the press conference, though, it looks like. So we can go to the press conference, I guess, when that starts. But let's listen in let's listen in on this right now on Capitol Hill.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Major General Bobby Christine, a proud alumnus of Samford University's Cumberland School of Law, and his appointment as the 43rd Judge Advocate General of the United States Army. Major General Christine was confirmed by the Senate on June 29, 2025, and assumed his duties on July 1, 2025, becoming the Army's top legal officer and senior uniformed lawyer. In this role, he provides legal counsel to the Secretary of the Army and the Chief of Staff, while leading the Judge Advocate General's Corps in delivering legal services across the Army. His distinguished career includes both private practice and government service, where he has demonstrated integrity, professionalism, and an unwavering commitment to causes greater than himself. Major General Christine's leadership will play a vital role in guiding the Army through transformation and readiness for the future. I congratulate him on this historic achievement and thank him for his service to our nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Kennedy, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker.
All right, so we'll be going to that GOP press conference in a little bit. Of course, that was the House floor there live, and it's always good to just go to random videos because there's a lot of live stuff going on, right? So we know that the president will be meeting with the Polish leader coming up soon. We also know that that GOP press conference will be kicking off. Looking forward to sharing all of that with you. Meantime, again, the president's schedule, as I was speaking about before, on September 23rd, President Trump will return to the Big Apple to address the United Nations. So let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to kind of reset for those of you all joining us right now, and we're going to bring you our live coverage right here on RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. You're looking live at where the GOP press conference will be held any minute from now. As soon as we see them start, we'll go there live. In the meantime, we'll be seeing the president in about 45 minutes or so. So a lot of coverage coming up here on the network. Let's talk some, I was going to say dollars and cents, but let's just talk some numbers when it comes to Rumble, YouTube, X, Truth Social. Right now at Right Side Broadcasting Network on Rumble, we have more than 500,000 subscribers. That number is growing. The number is at 581,000. On YouTube, we're at 1.99 million subs. So we're really, really close to that 2 million mark. Also on X, we're at 1.1 million followers. It's been at 1.1 for a long time. And I think that the number's probably higher. I don't know why it still says 1.1. Truth Social definitely has been growing, 3.47 million. 3.47 million on Truth Social following us on all of our socials. Let's go to Capitol Hill right now. You're watching RSBN Live.
Mr. Chairman Comer needs to leave, so I'm going to yield to him first thing and let him go first. So, Chairman Comer.
Well, thank you, Chairwoman McClain. Yesterday, Speaker Johnson and members of the House Oversight Committee met with several survivors of the horrific crimes committed by Epstein and Maxwell. The abuse these survivors endured is both heartbreaking and sickening. They were not only victims of unspeakable crimes, but were also betrayed by their own government, which failed to deliver justice and accountability. The House Oversight Committee is committed to providing transparency and accountability for these brave survivors and for the American people. Over the past 6 weeks, the Oversight Committee has worked tirelessly to obtain documents and testimony related to Epstein and Maxwell. We have subpoenaed Maxwell for a deposition. We have subpoenaed the Department of Justice for documents. We have issued subpoenas to 10 former federal officials for depositions. We have requested documents from the Epstein estate. And we have secured a transcribed interview with former Labor Secretary Alex Acosta. This is the most comprehensive investigation into Epstein and Maxwell to date, and we're already getting results. We have already deposed former Attorney General Bill Barr. The DOJ has produced nearly 34,000 pages of documents with more to come. These documents are now accessible on our website. We put every single document on the website. The Epstein estate will begin producing documents on September 8th. The committee is operating at an unprecedented pace and doing the work the right way. What we heard yesterday from the survivors is that they support these efforts and they support the pursuit of transparency and accountability. We will continue working tirelessly for these survivors and for the American people. I want to thank Speaker Johnson and his leadership team for giving us all the tools we need to get all the information that the American people want and that the survivors deserve, to be able to finally give them some accountability. And I want to thank the Trump administration for working with us and turning over 34,000 documents so far. With that, I yield back.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Comer, and thank you for all your hard work on this issue. With that, I want to welcome you all back to a safe D.C. I know that sounds crazy, but rather than applauding President Trump's decisive action to actually restore law and order and reduce crime in America, Democrats have defended gang members, thieves, and lawbreakers. I mean, can you guys believe that? That sounds odd, right? Right? Sounds pretty common, unfortunately. Nevertheless, Republicans remain focused on delivering not only the physical safety, but President Trump has championed, but the financial security for every single working America. Because President Trump believes in a safe America. And safe America means safe in the streets, but it also means safe and security financially and economically. That's why we've spent the last month working with actual Americans in our district. And I personally spoke with workers at manufacturing facilities in Michigan, and then we went on the road in New Jersey, Pennsylvania. These folks work hard, and many of these folks work more than 40 hours a week. So let me tell you that it was an honor to let them know that the extra hours they put in will actually not be taxed. And of course, I wasn't the only one standing with the American workers in the past month. House Republicans showed up in coffee shops, small businesses, schools, gas stations, all across America. And if you own or work at a small business, Congressman Miller Meeks was out there talking about the tax cuts heading their way. And if you work in energy, Congresswoman Fedorchak was out there talking about the ways that this bill will help secure your job and actually reduce gas prices. I think we had Labor Day just recently, right? We just came back from Labor Day. Gas prices were the lowest they've been in 5 years. What a success that is. And if you work in healthcare, Congressman Barrett was on the ground hosting a town hall about what this bill does to actually improve healthcare in rural areas. And if you've worked your whole entire life, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart sat down with seniors about the historic tax cut they will receive because of the Working Families Tax Cut bill. Wherever you work, the bottom line remains the same. Republicans are fighting for every single American worker, and we are proud of the results that we have delivered. Republicans voted to keep money in Americans' pockets, while the Democrats voted to take money from Americans' pockets. Republicans delivered no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. Well, every single Democrat, and let me say that again, every single Democrat voted to increase your taxes by at least $1,700 for the average middle-class family. Every single Democrat voted to raise taxes by at least $1,700. Please cover that. Republicans want to keep more money in your pocket. Democrats think that you should pay more money to the government because the government just runs so doggone efficiently, right? House Republicans are doing what is needed to be done to deliver for the American worker. And with that, I want to turn it over to someone who has actually worked hard for his constituents, Congressman David Taylor of the great state of Ohio. It pains me to say Ohio, as in Michigan.
I know. Well, you're still recently the winner, so that's okay. Thank you, Chairwoman. During the August work period, I spent time in Ohio's 2nd Congressional District talking with local small business owners, farmers, manufacturers about the issues that are most important to them. I heard over and over again how important the Working Families Tax Cut Act is in transforming the lives of hardworking Ohioans by lowering taxes so they can spend their hard-earned money on what they need, helping small businesses grow and develop and revitalizing our main streets. As a third-generation small business owner, I know firsthand how a tough economy and skyrocketing taxes make it harder to turn a profit. When I popped into family-owned shops last month, store owners told me how grateful they were with the expanded 199A tax credit that was helping hand they needed to stay in business so they can maintain a presence in our communities. Beyond business, Ohioans made it clear that they don't want illegal immigrants taking benefits that are meant for Americans in need. This is just Ohio common sense. The Working Families Tax Cut Act benefits vulnerable Americans so they can get back up on their feet while kicking off illegal immigrants who never should have received taxpayer benefits in the first place. A common myth surrounding the act is that it will shut down rural hospitals serving Americans across our country, and especially in my district. That is far from the truth. In rural regions like Southern Ohio, the act includes a historic $50 billion investment in rural hospitals, and when I spoke with local healthcare providers, they confirmed how critical this funding is in meeting their most rural patients' needs, and they're very pleased with the results. For Will Minshaw, a young farmer in Pickaway County, Ohio, whose family farm is hitting 200 years in operation next year, the increase in the death tax exemption, which is made permanent in the bill, means it'll be even easier for the family to pass the farm down to him and to future generations. And with family farms making up 96% of all farms in my district, this is huge news for countless farming families in Southern Ohio. That, combined with expanded funding for agricultural trade programs and investment in crop insurance, will give family farmers peace of mind about staying in the business for years to come. I was also proud to see provisions of my USA Car Act, which co-sponsored with Senator Marino, included in the act. It will create a deduction of interest on purchase of American-made cars on your car loan. They'll create thousands of jobs across our nation, all while securing our nation's supply chains and invigorating our economy. The Working Families Tax Cut Act is paving the way for economic prosperity for hardworking Americans, and Ohio families are reaping the benefits. I was proud to support it and will continue advocating for the needs of Buckeye families in Congress. Thank you all for being here, and now I'd like to introduce Tom Click, CEO of an aluminum manufacturer, Patriot Industries in Louisa, Virginia. I knew I was going to do that. I got a friend named Louisa. Louisa, Virginia. Tom co-founded this business with his wife, Sarah, and will share a little bit about how the act benefits his employees.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Click, and in 2010, my wife Sarah and I founded Patriot Industries. We're proud to be one of a growing number of American companies investing in U.S. manufacturing and bringing jobs back to our community. Like most family businesses, we started small with only 1,000 square feet of space and a used pipe threader that I purchased on eBay. Navigating the complicated tax code always seemed like to be a continual challenge until in 2012 when I faced a serious health crisis, and there were moments when we didn't know if the business would survive. But thanks to the strength and dedication of our incredible work family, we pulled through, I recovered, and today Patriot has 3 factories in the USA, 140,000 square feet of space with advanced manufacturing equipment, and employs nearly 100 hardworking team members. I'm here today to say thank you to congressional leadership and to President Trump for permanently locking in tax policies which are already having a positive impact not just on our family business, but on our employees and their families. Locking in the 20% small business deduction, restoring full equipment expensing, and protecting our family from the nightmare of the death tax, or as I call it, the survivor's tax, because that's who the burden ultimately falls on, are big wins for small businesses like ours. But most importantly, the One Big Beautiful Bill benefits our employees through lower tax rates, a larger child tax credit, and a doubled standard deduction, giving our hardworking team members more take-home pay for day-to-day necessities like groceries and helping them build a better future for their families. So on behalf of our family business, our nearly 100 employees, and our trade association, the National Association of Electrical Distributors. Thank you all for finally providing the tax certainty businesses like ours need to continue manufacturing more great American products and hiring more great American workers. Thank you, and may God bless you, and may God bless America.
Last week, 2 innocent lives were taken at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis. As a Minnesotan, a father, and Catholic, words cannot begin to describe the amount of heartbreak and anger we feel over this unspeakable act of evil. Our prayers continue to be with the victims, their families, and everyone who is impacted by this horrific event. We pray because, despite what some may say, prayer is powerful. Thank you to FBI Director Patel, Deputy Director Bongino, and to our local law enforcement for all their efforts. Thank you to President Trump for reaching out to Governor Walz to offer support and ordering that all flags be flown at half-staff in honor of the victims. And thank you to Vice President J.D. Vance for being in Minnesota today to pay his respects to the victims of this tragedy and their families. They need to know that someone cares. This senseless tragedy was carried out by a very broken and deranged individual. He is the unfortunate picture of the current mental health crisis we have here in the United States, a mental health crisis that has been normalized and exacerbated by extreme Democrat policies. We cannot allow any more innocent lives to be taken by someone who should have received help long before they had a chance to become violent. Not to mention the far left anti-law enforcement policies of Tim Walz and Democrats in Minnesota that encourage crime. The way forward is to address the mental health crisis and empower law enforcement to crack down on crime, just as President Trump has done right here in our nation's capital. The American people elected our Republican trifecta with a mandate to restore law, order, and prosperity to our communities. And that is exactly what we have done over the last 7 months. This August, I had the privilege of being back in my home state to discuss how Republicans' working families tax cut is benefiting Minnesotans. It was an honor to host several Trump administration officials, including Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer, Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin, and Federal Transit Administration Administrator Mark Molinaro, who all helped highlight the ways this once-in-a-generation piece of legislation improves the lives of so many. From no tax on tips and overtime to historic tax relief for American manufacturers that you just heard about from Tom, Minnesota workers and businesses are benefiting from this monumental bill. While in my district, I got to visit New Flyer's bus manufacturing plant alongside FTA Administrator Molinaro, American manufacturers like New Flyer can expect a major boost thanks to provisions like full expensing and bonus depreciation. With 12% of employment in Minnesota being in the manufacturing sector, hundreds of thousands of Minnesotan workers stand to benefit. The Republican trifecta's working families tax cut unleashes growth and opportunity like never before, and we're just getting started. With that, I turn it over to our great leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Whip, and our prayers are with you and the people of Minnesota for that tragic shooting. And as we come back to D.C., it is encouraging to see a much safer nation's capital. And it is clearly the result of the work of President Trump, who said early off he was going to make America safe again. And you don't just do it through words, you do it through actions. And those actions have been significant. Those actions are noticeable when you go around the district, when you talk to people here in D.C. who can feel the presence of those National Guard troops. I want to thank all the states who have sent National Guard troops. Proud that my home state, the Speaker's home state of Louisiana, is one of those who have sent over 100 of our Louisiana National Guard to be a part of helping making our nation's capital safe And we're going to continue to take steps to do things here in Congress to address some of the other problems in our nation's capital. Worked closely, in fact, spoke with President Trump just a few days ago about some of the actions Congress needs to take to address the things that D.C. has done, self-inflicted wounds, so to speak, that they have passed through the council to make it easier for hardened criminals to walk free, even if they get arrested. Carjackings, you could carjack somebody at gunpoint, and frankly, a lot of the people who commit some of those violent crimes are younger people under 25. You could be 23 years old and walk out the next day if you get caught without serving any time in jail. And I think a lot of people are outraged by that, but it's ordinances on the books in D.C. that lead to that. It's soft on crime judges because of a weak judicial nominating commission that is stacked with far leftists who are who themselves soft on crime, and because of that you get judges that are soft on crime, and all that does is creates more victims, senseless, needless victims of crime that shouldn't be if you only had better ordinances. And so our Oversight Committee is going to be going to work next week passing a package of bills to address a lot of those problems that D.C. created, to fix it so that criminals can't just walk free. If they want to go commit tough crimes, they'll have to do the time for what they do on the streets. And I think that's a good thing, that we're going to be addressing that problem even more than what President Trump's already done. You can look at what the Oversight Committee has already done over the break. While a lot of people were home, a lot of Oversight Committee members were here getting that testimony that Chairman Comer talked about from those victims of the horrors of Epstein. And we're going to continue through the rule today, have a vote to force a lot of that information to be made public, to support the subpoenas that the committee's doing, to go even further than others want to go at getting that information out to the public, including going after the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, something others have refused to do. So we're not done, but it's going to be an important vote today on the House floor to show our support there. And then, of course, we are going to continue to talk about all the things that we passed just in these first 6 months. And obviously, there's a lot more we want to do. There's a lot more we're doing just this week. Some great energy production bills, energy and water appropriations bill. Appropriators are having negotiations to try to get a resolution on the proper funding of government. All of that is still going on. But it's important when you go around the country and hear stories like we heard today of people that are now starting to make more investment in America because we stabilized the tax code. We prevented a massive tax increase on families all across this nation by passing the One Big Beautiful Bill. We modernize America's air traffic control system. We secure our border. We open up more energy production. All of the things that are going to help families have more money in their pockets, overtime workers, with no tax on tips. That's $1,700 more in the pockets of hardworking families. And the best is yet to come. There's a lot more we're going to do. And the person leading that charge is the fellow LSU alum. And yes, we are proud of our alma mater winning its opening game. It's going to have football back, college football. Some people might not say right now they're glad to have college football back, depending on how their team did. We are proud of what's now the number 3 team in the nation, the LSU Fighting Tigers. Another Fighting Tiger. And Cover Boy, if you brought your copies of Time magazine, he might actually sign a copy for you. Not every day that a Republican gets on the cover of Time magazine, but he has exhibited great leadership. He's gotten a very, very narrow House Republican majority to come together time and time again to deliver big wins for American families. And I'm glad it's being noticed nationally. It deserves to be. Our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Welcome back to everybody. We come back very excited, and not just because the LSU Tigers prevailed on Saturday, but because we're in a really good mood. The House Republicans went out, fanned out across the country over the district work period, and got a lot of work done. And they were talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill, which has also become known as the Working Families Tax Cut Act, because that's what it principally represents. And it was met with great reception everywhere. I'm so grateful for leaders like Tom, the Clicks, who are these small business owners that is the heart of the U.S. economy, and they make it run and they provide jobs. And we're trying to do everything we can to ensure that they have success, because the success of small business owners and hardworking families is the success of America. And that's what our principles and policies provide. And so we're so excited about that. We went out, fanned out across the country. We met with business leaders just like this, with workers, farmers, families in our districts to discuss our legislation and how it's already making a positive impact in communities across the country. I spent the month traveling my own district and 12 other states, and we went quite literally coast to coast, got a great reception everywhere we went. In my district, I met with farmers who will benefit from the permanent relief from that death tax, and small business owners just like this, who can now plan for the future better because of tax certainty and increases in the small business deductions. In Nashville, Tennessee, where I was, I met with tip workers who will keep more of what they earn thanks to the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. And they were overjoyed by that, and we interviewed them and got their comments on it. I was in Idaho Falls, Idaho, visited with local manufacturer there who employs 5,200 people, one of the biggest, most impressive businesses nationwide. And thanks to this bill, they can now permanently deduct more of their critical investments in research and development on their products, and they will help their company and thereby create more jobs and help their workers. Look, whether you're a farmer, a bartender, a stay-at-home parent, a law enforcement officer, a business owner, any profession in between, the legislation that we passed is going to benefit you. It's going to benefit all Americans because, as we noted, it was written for lower and middle-class earners, and they are going to feel the effects of that in very short order. We're going to continue to speak the truth to the American people, and we're really excited, I'll just note parenthetically, as we head into the midterm election, about the results that we can point to that are going to help everyone. Regarding D.C. crime, it's not just the one big beautiful bill that's helping American people. Since President Trump took control of the crime in this city, and so many of you live here and you know you experienced this, they took control of the D.C. Metro Police Department, and the crime in our nation's capital has fallen off a cliff. Here's some stats. Carjackings are down 85%. Some of you, I won't ask for a raise of hands, but some of y'all live in the Navy Yard. I mean, people were scared to go to their cars at night. That's not happening anymore. I was down there yesterday, and we have National Guard, loyal, faithful, brave National Guardsmen and women walking the streets in full, with their arms. Makes a big difference. Carjacking's down 85%, robberies down 42%, violent crime down 25%. D.C. went 11 straight days without a murder. That sounds like, wow, why would you be, because that's an amazing thing around here. Nearly 1,300 criminals have been arrested and 135 illegal guns removed from the D.C. streets. D.C. residents, and the residents of every big American city, should be able to walk freely without fear of being mugged and violently assaulted and carjacked or shot at. I mean, this is common sense, and it's clear this action is needed. 81% of the people in this country believe crime is a major problem in large American cities, and we ought to do something about it, and we're the team that will. President Trump is clearly listening. His efforts have been so effective here in D.C. that Mayor Bowser, who is a Democrat, as you know, signed an executive order just yesterday welcoming federal law enforcement in D.C. indefinitely, okay? I hope my Democrat colleagues here will wake up and realize that crime is not a partisan issue. It can't be. Violent criminals don't know if you're a Democrat or a Republican before they put a gun to the back of your head and demand you give up your keys. We can't stand for that. And the Democrats should set aside their pride and stop defending violent criminals, which is amazingly what so many of them are doing right now, and work with the Trump administration to put the safety of the American people first. Regarding government funding, just very quickly, you heard Leader Scalise address this. House Republicans are continuing the FY26 appropriations process in our efforts to responsibly fund the government while also cutting spending. Why? Because, my friends, we have a $37 trillion federal debt. Now, remember, we cut $1.6 trillion in the big, beautiful bill, and that was a huge leap forward because it's the largest amount of savings ever achieved by any legislative body in the history of mankind, but it's not enough. We have to continue to spend more responsibly. This week, we'll bring up the Energy and Water Appropriations Bill to the floor, and Chairman Cole is diligently working to get all 12 of the appropriations bills out of his committee. As we always are, the House Republicans are committed to keeping the government open. And unfortunately, it seems like not all the Democrats agree with that, and they're beginning to apply their government shutdown pressure. But I want you to remember one thing. All but one House Democrat voted to shut down the government in March. And we expect, sadly, that may happen again, that will be their inclination. If the government shuts down, it'll be because congressional Democrats rejected common sense solutions to fund the government and instead caved to their far left base. But I'm going to say this. I mean, look, I mean this sincerely. If Democrats are willing to work with us and think responsibly about how we can spend less than we did last year, then we are all open to that. Our nation is saddled with that debt, and we've got to figure this out. Last thing I'll note, and then we'll go to questions. I just got a comment on Governor Newsom and his anti-Christian rhetoric, anti-religious rhetoric. Just one personal point here. Last week, I mean, he called me out personally a couple times, and he shamelessly mocked the victims of Annunciation Catholic School for praying after the shooting. Went online and did it in writing. I just found it reprehensible. I mean, it's really sick. In response to a video of Caroline Leavitt discussing the power of prayer amid great tragedy, the governor posted, quote, "These children were literally praying as they got shot at." I mean, why? Like, why would he do that? Why would you do that? Except that you are starving for attention. It's detestable. 2 children were murdered. More than a dozen were hospitalized, and Gavin Newsom's response was to sneer and condemn those who seek out our Creator at our darkest moments. I just thought it was evil. In fact, it's indicative of such a profound moral decay that really the only hope for Gavin is prayer, ironically, and we're told in Scripture to do that. As people of faith, we believe in the strength of prayer and intercession. It's foundational to who we are as believers, and by the way, who we are as Americans. It's woven into the fabric of our country, our deep Judeo-Christian heritage, and it's something that we represent. And as a leader of the state with the largest Christian population in America, I will keep Governor Newsom and also the people of California in my prayers, and I think you ought to be called out, and anybody who does that should be called out for it. With that, take a few questions. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I will tell you that we've heard some horrific stories of these organ transplants and all of this in China, that they take it from unwilling donors, okay, to put it mildly. And the fact that they were caught on a hot mic, first I've heard of that, is very telling. It tells you what their worldview is in contrast to ours. Speaking of evil, we've heard of, terrible stories. I've heard terrible stories of the Uyghurs, for example, this persecuted religious minority that they're using to harvest organs from. I mean, look, I've not seen the evidence of that, but if the leaders are talking about it, it should alarm us. The United States, we're going to stand for morality and ethics, and we're going to stand against that. There's legislation, as you know, that would address it, and we might need to put that at the top of the priority list if that's what's happening. So that's news to me. Yes, sir.
Hi, Speaker John. Thank you for your question, for answering the question. So Trump administration officials held a workshop today with members of your party on messaging ahead of the midterms. Who, in your eyes, is in charge of winning the midterms? The White House? Is it the Speaker?
Yeah, it's the Speaker. No, I saw somewhere that I was running through, and I saw on Fox News or something said, curious the Speaker wasn't at the meeting this morning. Can I tell you why, since you just asked? My youngest son, Will, made the starting wide receiver position at his local school here for the freshman team, and at a big practice on Saturday with the quarterbacks and wide receivers, he fell and broke his collarbone. So I had to take my son to school this morning and get him situated because he's hobbling around with a thing. And he's heartbroken because we just started the season, and I'm heartbroken as well. That's why I missed it. I texted James Blair and Caroline Leavitt and with a laugh emoji and said, now the scandal is I'm not with you to discuss our strategy. The Speaker's clearly in charge of this. The Speaker works around the clock. I'm talking about myself in the third person here.
The Speaker travels all around the country to help us expand our majority.
Right. And we have a strategy that we're working on. Richard Hudson, also NRCC chair, is doing an extraordinary job. So he and I are in a partnership with this, with all the leaders and all the members. Last year, I'll share with you the sad statistic. I did over 360 campaign events over 240 cities and 40 states and logged in I'm doing it again. I'm on that same track. So clearly I am hands-on every day that we're not in session and I'm not in my district working. I'm on the road doing this. So we're closely coordinated with the White House, and that's the beauty of it, because the political team in the White House, the president himself, he and I spoke about this most recently last night at about 11:45 p.m. about our strategy to win the midterms. He's dialed in on it, we're dialed in on it, but clearly, I'm the quarterback of this effort, and I fully endorse everything that was said over there because it was all prearranged with me. So that was the only reason I wasn't there. Yeah. I got it, yeah. Yeah, it's not a rebranding, and what we have to do to sell it is tell the truth, and that's the beauty of it, okay? So I'm not surprised that some of the early polling was less than favorable in some areas of the country, because there has been a full-on strategy by, frankly, the mainstream media and the Democrats, of course, to try to misrepresent what's in the bill. If you look at the polls of all the individual provisions of the bill, they're wildly popular. I mean, we did things, there were 80-20 issues in the legislation, and it's going to help everybody. So it's not a rebranding. What we encourage everybody to do during the August district work period is go into their districts, do town halls, business roundtables, meet with everybody, constituents, and just take the time to explain what's in it. Because in almost every scenario, literally like 99% of the time, when you explain what's in it, light bulbs go off and people start standing and applauding because they know it's going to help them. Now, here's the other benefit of that. The reason we put it on such an aggressive timetable, which some of the people in this room didn't believe we'd get it done, the reason we had to get it done by the summer is because we wanted everybody to feel the actual effects of this extraordinary legislation before they vote in the midterms. We made a mistake in the first Trump administration. In hindsight, we got the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act done, our reconciliation package then, but we didn't get it done until December. And so people didn't feel the effects before they voted in the midterm, and we lost our majority. We are not going to make that mistake again. So the reason we put this on such an aggressive timetable was to get it done, get it signed into law, get it enacted. The relief is already being felt, as you're testified to today, and it will be felt in great effect by everyone when they go vote. So that huge demographic shift that we saw in 2024 in the election, we will hold those new demographics, new people who came in the party, because we have demonstrated for them they made the right decision. While Democrats are flailing and about to elect an actual Marxist to be the mayor of America's largest city and formerly the cradle of capitalism, we are out talking about common sense solutions for the pocketbooks of moms and dads and hardworking families everywhere. And they're going to feel that, and they're going to reward us for it. Last one over here.
Thank you so much. The NDAA, pro-life provisions, transgender surgeries, is that still a red line for the Republican Party? And then also, Democrats are considering midterm conventions. Is this something that Republicans are considering as well?
I'll address the NDAA first, and then that. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect there's going to be poison pills. That the NDAA has been worked towards as a bipartisan measure, which it traditionally has been, and I think leaders on both sides are committed to that. With regard to the convention, I'm all in and excited, and I'm glad you asked about it. The president called me when I was on the road maybe a week ago or whenever this made news on a morning. It was like 6:30 in the morning where I was out west, and he was here, and he said, "Mike, I got a great idea." And I said, "What's that?" "How about a midterm convention?" Don't intend to do it in his voice, but a midterm convention. And I was like, "That's genius." He said, "It's never been done before." That's right, and that would be such a great rallying point for us in the fall, right before the election, to lead up to that, to the momentum that we have so much to sell and talk about and celebrate. And of course, he loves a big show, so he and I both agreed, and he was going to call Leader Thune and of course our new chair of the RNC, because they get to put on the show. And so I think everybody's on board, because when I was packing my bag to leave that hotel room, about 13 minutes after I hung up the phone with him, Fox News and the Chiron said, "Breaking news, President calls for midterm convention." So I think that's a done deal now. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. We have so much to celebrate, and it will be hilarious if the Democrats try to do the same, because if they're going to put on display what they did at their little workshop a couple weeks ago, bring it, okay? So all we got to do is find the right location and get this thing planned, and we're going to be excited. And we'll be bringing, I'm sure, folks like the Clicks, like Tom here, to come and tell his story about what's happening, and everybody will resonate, and all the people will say amen. Thank you all so much. Bless you. All right. On the congressional stock ban, the question was asked. I'm generally favorable to the policy. There's a couple of different ideas on the table, and we have to build consensus on that because you got to do it responsibly. So some of the ideas that have been put forward, I'm not in love with the details of. But it's generally a policy I've always favored, but we have lots of different opinions on that in the conference and in Congress. So we got to work through it. So that's the intention. Thank you.
All right, so looking live there on Capitol Hill as we are looking live at the White House and at the stakeout location there as well. It's 10:51. I'm Matthew Alvarez here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks so much for streaming in with us on this Wednesday, September 3rd. All of this brought to you by Kalshi.com/RSBN. You can see there a number of topics that you can bet, trade, or also just check it out. You know, there's a lot of polls on there as well. So go to Kalshi.com/RSBN to check it all out. Great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, angelpaste.com. If you use the RSBN promo code, of course, you're going to get a great percentage off there. A great company out of Spring, Texas, hiring military veterans, but also great products, the Miracle Cream and others that you'll see right there on angelpaste.com. Let's also go to one more sponsor, Cove Pure. Now, you've heard us talk about this Cove Pure water system, and for good reason. It's because we believe that clean drinking water is one of the best investments you can make for your family's health. So here's something you might not realize. When people take medications, their bodies don't absorb all of it. So much of that stuff gets flushed down the toilet, and water treatment plants are horrible at filtering out those leftover pharmaceuticals, according to Cove Pure here. And we know that things like antibiotics, antidepressants, and even hormone disruptors from birth control pills, no wonder our society is messed up when it comes to this water situation. Luckily, Cove Pure is lab certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. So that includes fluoride, PFAs, agricultural runoff, and of course, pharmaceutical drugs. So the first thing you're going to notice with Cove Pure is the taste. It has what water, the taste is what water's supposed to taste like. Pure, clean, no aftertaste. You'll actually want to drink more. And Cove Pure makes it so easy. It sits on your countertop, no plumbers, no drilling. You just fill it up and plug it in. So you can even select whatever temperature you want, hot, cold, or warm, with the tap of the button. So you wouldn't take a stranger's drug prescription, so why accept their leftovers in your water? That does not sound very good. Protect yourself with a link below, covepure.com/RSBN. For a limited time, you'll get a special discount of $200 off Cove Pure as well. It's 10:53 Eastern Time, Wednesday, September 3rd. Thanks so much for streaming in with us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You just saw the GOP press conference. You saw a lot of videos in the first hour of our coverage. We have about seven minutes until we'll see the president of Poland, Karol Nawrocki of Poland there. He's going to be arriving at the South Portico. Usually it's something where we see the world leaders meet outside of the West Wing on the north side of the White House. Well, this time it's going to be the South Portico. So that's where President Trump will greet the foreign leader. At 11:20, the two leaders will meet in the Oval Office with reporters' questions to follow, as is customary. There's a mutual respect and support between these two leaders, both saying, "Make America great again," and "Make Poland great again," in their own right. So it's great to have two leaders that are on the right side of history, conservatives and for the people. And that is the case when it comes to Poland. As if you've monitored any kind of global politics, you know, it was something that we saw there with this conservative leader that is, again, similar to President Trump in the sense of fighting for the people. And we always like to see that happening. And so it's going to be a great meeting today. It's going to be great to have it here for you live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, let's review a few stories as we await the president there. Let's go with just yesterday. President Trump confirmed that the Illinois National Guard will be called into Chicago. All right. At this hour, there's no timetable on that move. But let's go to clip one from the 24/7 news cycle.
Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible.
It's pretty simple stuff. If Governor Pritzker and the Mayor Brandon Johnson were common sense leaders, they would have called President Trump on day one and said, hey, we need some help up here. Well, they're not common sense leaders, and we've seen that J.B. Pritzker, the governor, says, I want the federal tax dollars, but I don't want the troops up here. Interesting. We're going to play a clip from Mason Weaver, a conservative analyst and author who I ran into along with my family down in Punta Gorda over the weekend. A great coffee shop down there. For those of you that are just joining us, we were airing various clips of this pro-Trump coffee shop that my family and I saw, or at least I did, and one of my good buddies. And so it's we'll go to Mason Weaver in a bit about Chicago and about the president. A great interview there as we await President Trump. So we know that in about 3 minutes we'll see the president and the Polish leader. Or as soon as the leader pulls up to the rear of the White House, so the South Lawn this time is where that'll happen. So as soon as we see a live feed, we'll take you there. Again, thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday, September 3rd. Now, as for a timeline for that Illinois National Guard dispatch to Chicago, we have not heard one, but we do know yesterday President Trump confirmed that the Guard will be in Chi-Town, which the people of Chicago are saying, hey, thank you. And you think about it, I mean, all of these interviews that I've seen, whether it's local media reports and whether it's from the White House just talking about various reports, you hear and you see and you read that the people are saying, yes, we want law and order here in this country. We want law and order in our city. And the politicians are saying the opposite. Isn't that always the way it usually has been in the past when it comes to, politicians? But that's why we see the people like President Trump and others that have broken away from that whole establishment crap that's out there. We don't want that. We want to report on people that are doing the right thing. And so there's a lot going on again today as we are live here at 10:58 Eastern time. Before we take a quick commercial break, what we can do is let's talk about the following. I reached a personal milestone today, September 3rd, 2022, 3 years ago to the date. It was the first time I worked at Right Side Broadcasting Network in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton at a Trump rally. So great to be here for 3 years, working a bit of freelance contract work at the beginning, now full-time at the network, along with Robert McNeely and others, behind the scenes here at the network. But, as we grow and expand and see conservative media go to the next level, it's just great to be a part of that whole thing. So here's a quick clip. Let's go to clip, I believe it's clip 2. Of my first time, at a Trump rally when it comes to being on air conservatively. I was at other Trump rallies before, but just not working on the conservative media side. Well, here's clip 2.
And the arena, just about 30 minutes ago was not this packed. At this point, even behind the media risers, some of the seats aren't the greatest, but people don't care. They're here. They're ready to watch the president. They want to, especially after Biden's speech on Thursday, I'm very curious to see what President Trump has to say today. I know he goes off prompter, but I think tonight he's going to come out pretty tough.
Aren't those rallies awesome? We look forward to seeing some more rallies, hopefully for the midterms. I know there'll be some tele-rallies. Will there be some in person? Probably. You know, President Trump talked about the other day another national convention prior to the midterms, something he said has never been done before. So that would be like a rally atmosphere as well. You know, but outside of all the rallies, I mean, think about it. We just want to see wins in our country. We want to see the America First agenda happen. We want to see those 20 core promises to the American people happen, not only for this 3.5 left of years of President Trump here as the 47th president, but into the future. You know, really restoring, cementing in those different things that are out there, the policies, the common sense policies. All right, so let's stick with Wilkes-Barre Scranton real quick, because President Trump, of course, as he was about to be announced, I was on that media riser, took a quick video. Let's look at clip 3. Good times there in Wilkes-Barre Scranton. So again, September 3rd, 2022 to the date. So glad to be with you here on Right Side as we wait for the President of the United States and the Polish leader. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you there. In the meantime, let's go to a video about Poland. The Polish government posted something pretty recently. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the people of Poland, just like the people of America in the sense of freedom, they love their leader, they love freedom, they love conservatism. The majority of the people do here in this country and in Poland. So let's go to clip number 8, I believe, Director, as we take a look at the Polish government video as we await the Polish leader. All right, so if you're just joining us, you're like, why is there not a United States flag right there? Well, we know that the Polish leader is on the way to meet President Trump, but just like highlighting the fact that, you know, it is really that free world taking on, you know, tyrannical maybe leaders and that kind of thing out there in the world. But we know in this case, President Nawrocki of Poland on the side of freedom, on the side of the people, a huge supporter of President Trump. So it'll be great to have the two meet. And then we're going to see that meeting here in a little bit. And then we'll see the reporters' questions and hear what they have to say. A lot of fake news, of course, there, but, you know, some conservative media, which is always good to see as well. In the meantime, as we wait that live feed from the South Portico of the White House, let's go to All Family Pharmacy, great sponsor here. Unfortunately, though, flu season's here, and the best time to prepare is in case or before you get sick. So that's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand. From essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications. They have it all. And now you can even get cutting-edge biohacking products like NAD Plus and Methylene Blue, GLP-1, which is a weight loss medication, all in one place. Telling you here, they've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. So no more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. So if you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN10 promo code. You'll save 10% off your order, and you can stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Always good with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Let's also go to Tax Network USA. 800-357-1415 is the number. Also, you can go to tnusa.com/RSBN, all when it comes to taxes, right? So if you missed a tax filing year or a couple years, you can get some peace of mind right there when it comes to tnusa.com. These great patriots will work right alongside you. 800-357-1415 is the number. 800-357-1415. Tax Network USA, 11:05, Wednesday, September 3rd. We're waiting for President Trump. Actually, we're waiting for the Polish leader to pull up there to the South Portico, and then the president will greet the Polish leader. After that, then we'll see the two leaders in the Oval Office. Always fun to see President Trump interact with the world leaders and also hear from him when it comes to questions from the press. All right, so let's do this. Let's go through something that we talked about within the first hour, but I think it's good because, you know, at the end of the day, it's really about all of us, right? The people. So let's go back to Punta Gorda, Florida. All right, so over the weekend, Labor Day, I was at a coffee shop where my buddy told me that they play RSBN in the coffee shop all the time, like older rallies. They're right now it's live in Punta Gorda, so it's pretty cool to see that everybody's watching there. But let's go to a few clips from there. When it comes to a pro-Trump establishment, they chant USA there, as you'll see. And then also they had some of the waves flying outside, and we'll have some interviews as well to toss to. So, Director, if we can go to the USA chant and then also the flag waving, and then we'll go to some interviews as well.
USA! 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 Me and said, young man, take a walk up the street. It's a place there. Call the YMCA. They can start.
So yeah, as soon as I heard that there was this, pro-Trump MAGA, local establishment, as my family and I were visiting some friends in Punta Gorda over the weekend, I was like, all right, let's go to it. Let's check it out. And then it turned into that like mini rally feel, and it was fun to do some interviews, get some videos, that kind of thing. We're going to put together a longer form video in a minute, but I do want to introduce you to the owner. If you didn't watch in the first hour, if you're just joining us as we're awaiting the president, Haley Mercer is holding it down there at the Bean on 41 coffee shop in Punta Gorda. Take a look, clip 14.
I could not live without him, and not at this point. I have given everything I have to keep this place open so that we can stay together. And I've got people worldwide, every state in this country, that come here and tell me, ooh, we could never have this where we come from. Yeah, you can. It takes courage. Stand up. Courage is contagious. Make it happen.
So great to see that there. Isn't that true? Courage is contagious. I remember hearing that from Mike Lindell at one of the rallies back in the day as well. So great to see that. Great to meet the owner. Also met some of the people that were at the coffee shop, including Mason Weaver, a guy that says, hey, I was a Democrat before, and I know how the Democrats run that playbook. So I interviewed Mason. Check it out, clip 17.
He's a true patriot. He understands the core problems of America. And him and his family have sacrificed their wealth, their security, their comfort to address the problem. That means this man loves America, and therefore I love him.
Thoughts about the National Guard in the city of Chicago and anywhere across the country. What would you say to maybe the mayor, Brandon Johnson, or the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, when they say what they say?
I understand Democrats. I was a Democrat, Black Panther. I understand Democrats. They hate security. They hate progress. They hate prosperity. They go to control misery. So everything they're going to do is make everybody misery. They own every ghetto in America. They will take over a prosperous city and make it a hellhole because they get their money from grants. You got a crime problem. Give me a grant for a crime. They got a school problem. And they make their living off of your misery. They will never bring prosperity. They will never bring clarity. And they're unpatriotic. That's what I think about Democrats. Look at the Democrat people. Look at the people in the Democrat Party. They're abandoning Democrat principles because they see the garbage, they see the nonsense. They see them fighting Trump to reduce crime. They see them fighting Trump to reduce abortions. They see them fighting Trump on illegal aliens. They want chaos, they want debt, they want crime, and Trump is saying no more of this stuff. So you see these mayors standing up, they're puppets. They're all black. There's a reason why. The DEI, they put these clowns in knowing they're incompetent to help them steal. But the American people, black and white, we no longer see color. We no longer see the garbage. The nonsense is no longer working. We want our nation back. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I love this country, and I will expose these clowns as much as I can. I do not tolerate anyone coming against my America.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mason Weaver with the mic drop there. Holy smokes. It was great to run into him and others. We're going to listen to a couple other interviews as we await the Polish leader there at the South Lawn of the White House. Usually, again, the world leader in the North Lawn. Well, this time it's going to be at the South Portico. Looking forward to seeing that any second from now. If you're just joining us, my name is Matthew Alvarez. We are here at RSBN Live on this Wednesday, September 3rd. It's 11:11 a.m. Eastern Time. I was debating whether I was going to say make a wish, but go ahead, make a wish. All right, there you go. All right, so Chicago crime map from the White House. Guess what? Well, this was just sent out from the White House. This is clip 19, and we saw Mason talking about Chicago there, talking about mayors and governors and people that are saying, you know what, we don't want the federal troops, but we want the federal dollars. Yeah, we want that. Well, no crap, you want that. You want the money. And as Mason was saying, they just pocket the money or they just put this money in other places. Do you think it really works for crime just to throw dollars at it? How about the National Guard working with Chicago PD? How about that? How about all those red dots? How about we get rid of those and stop having so much crime, right? So we see that the Guard is going to be doing something great there in Chicago, just like in D.C., just like they did in L.A. And who knows what other cities will the National Guard be dispatched? And again, shout out to the Illinois National Guard, because they're the ones that will be out there and helping the local law enforcement. And hopefully local law enforcement will work with them, because the mayor and the governor, they're like, oh, hey, let's not really, work too much with these guys, especially within ICE and that kind of thing. I'm sure the cops in Chicago are like, hey, man, if you're going to come help me kick some serious butt out here and bring some law and order, let's do it. It's common sense stuff. And that's what we see there, unfortunately, is the Chicago crime map. That was released by the White House within the past hour. So we don't want to see any more of that in Chicago. We don't want to see that in any city. And, there are some countries out there that have a lot of, their crime is low because there's a lot of law enforcement, and the penalties are pretty dang stiff. You don't want to, do certain things that you're breaking the law in these other countries. But anyway, so what we do know is in Punta Gorda, there was someone I met named Logan Earwood. He's a military veteran, and he was speaking about the fact that, there's this military resurgence because President Trump is in office. So as we await the president of the United States, let's listen into an everyday American, but also a military veteran, Logan Earwood. That's clip 18. Take a look.
Well, I fought for freedom. I'm actually a military veteran, so it means the world to me. When we had Obama and then Joe Biden in, the censoring on social media was going insane. I mean, it was just, they were censoring free speech, which is a First Amendment protected right. And I'm just like, this is not okay. They're taking our freedom slowly. It's not what I fought for.
Isn't it great to have President Trump as the commander-in-chief?
Oh, absolutely. I actually met more people, because I do Lyft on the side, and they were ecstatic. They're like, yeah, now that Trump's back in, I'm going into the military. I met one guy who was going into the infantry. I literally picked him up the night before he shipped out for basic training. So it's good to see the younger generation getting involved with the military again.
All right, so that was from over the weekend, Labor Day weekend in Punta Gorda. Again, the Bean on 41 Coffee Shop there in the southwest part of Florida. Great spot. It's called Trumpy Town. A lot of great gear there. What we're going to do is we'll put together a more full video of the interviews and some of the visuals there, just everybody having a good time. And it was pretty awesome to meet everyone down there in southwest Florida, as I was on a vacation with my family down there in Florida. As we are looking forward to seeing in Alabama here in Huntsville. The U.S. Command is going to Huntsville, of course, Rocket City. There's already a NASA space camp there, and now it's going to have the United States Space Force, the Golden Dome of America. Part of it's going to be worked on there, and the U.S. Space Command will be located there as well, as you're looking live right now at the South Portico. Usually, again, it's the front of the White House, the North Lawn, where the world leaders pull up. This time, we're going to be seeing it from the south. So looking forward to seeing the Polish leader here in just a minute, and we'll go there live as soon as we do, as the president will greet him there. And then it says on the public schedule that at 11:20 this morning, so we're looking at 5 minutes from now. So there's basically a 20-minute window between the time the greeting happens to the two leaders meeting at the Oval Office. But regardless of the timing, we're here for it. We're live. Thank you so much for choosing Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 11:16, Wednesday, September 3rd. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the great Mike Lindell. You can have the free shipping sale, of course, as well, with all of these great products, more than 2,000 to choose from. Always good to have some great products there, including all the different variations of the pillows or the slides, the slippers, the dog beds, the MyCross jewelry there, the MyPillow that you see, the sheets. How about the Giza Dream Sheets? They're great, right? So mypillow.com/RSBN, and you can save with that RSBN promo code. Also, speaking of RSBN, if you want to donate to us, as we expand, as we, our Studio A, our other studios getting worked on, we're here in Studio B, and as we grow and expand, it takes dollars to do it. We're not bought and paid for by some woke corporation. So if you'd like to donate, whether it's $1 or $100 or whatever it is, please do so at rsbnetwork.com/donate, or you could text RSBN to 801-801. As it's 11:17 this morning, awaiting President Trump, awaiting the leader from Poland, President Nawrocki. Again, this guy apparently is a boxer as well, is highly supported in Poland by the Polish people because he is someone that's on the right side of history. So when they say there, make Poland great again, they're falling right in line with freedom for their country, just like we want freedom for ours. So make America great again, make Poland great again, hopefully make the world great. But I know that's can be just a dream there when it comes to some of the leaders that are out there in the world. All right, so it's 11:17. Let's do this. Within the 24/7 news cycle, I was speaking about Huntsville, Alabama. Let's go to clip 4. The U.S. Space Command is going to Huntsville. And again, as my director told me earlier, and I did hear about this before, but he reminded me of it, there's a AAA baseball team, and it's called Rocket City Trash Pandas in Huntsville. The Trash Pandas, because the people wanted that as the name. And apparently the director told me that it's a cute logo. So I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to look at it here while we watch this next clip. But anyway, just food for thought if you care. As we are live right now at 11:18. So let's go to the 24/7 news cycle. Let's check out President Trump's speech about the U.S. Space Command. Also within that framework is a video from U.S. Space Command as well. So as we play that, Director, it would be great if we could maybe keep the split screen so we can see if the Polish leader arrives. So that'll take a second for us to get that set up. We'll get that here in a second. But yeah, it's going to be great to see that. The United States Space Force being headquartered there and on. So let's take a look at that from just yesterday.
So I want to thank you all for being here for this important announcement, 7 years in the making. As you know, this has been going on for a long period of time, and I am thrilled to report that the U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City. Okay, so Huntsville, Alabama, we love Alabama.
The founders envisioned not just a free nation, but one strong enough to preserve that freedom. As the United States stands on the threshold of 250 years of freedom, U.S. Space Command carries that legacy forward into the newest warfighting domain. From protecting the space architecture critical to the joint force to enabling the systems that drive economic prosperity and national defense. Space superiority ensures our military can move, decide, and strike faster than any adversary, and ensures those who threaten our way of life are met with credible consequences. marking a key chapter in its growth. U.S. Space Command highlights a year of command and control that strengthened our warfighting advantage. We've conducted multinational operations in space, led large-scale war games across domains, enhanced battle space awareness using AI and machine learning, and demonstrated real-world sensor integration to maintain decision advantage. We're optimizing space operations, strengthening vital partnerships, protecting the joint force and the freedoms it was built to defend. From the ultimate high ground to the last tactical mile, we are U.S. Space Command.
In my first term, I created a thing called Space Force, so important. You know, we were losing the race in space very badly to China and to Russia, and now we're far and away number one in space, and reestablished Space Com with a mission to protect American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the Spacecom headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration. And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do and the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be.
Good stuff there, Huntsville, Alabama. And so we're looking live right now at the South Portico. We could see that some of the military putting the flags putting them up there. So it looks like the Polish leader will be pulling up any second from now. As soon as we see that, we'll take it live. And then the two leaders will head over to the Oval Office. As soon as we get that, we'll bring that live to you. So thanks so much for hanging tight with us and streaming live with us at 11:22 this morning, RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for streaming in as we are continuing our coverage. We've been live since 9 this morning. Of course, we covered the 10 o'clock GOP press conference as well. A lot of news going on out there, of course, and we're seeing various stories that are happening, including all of the wins under President Trump. We're also seeing within the framework of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking about the Epstein files and the desire to have all of them released. We're seeing a lot of movement in that part of news coverage. Also within that framework, we'll see, will the DOJ, when it comes to the criminal investigations into Russia, will there be any developments there? So yeah, there's just a lot. We're just getting started here at the network, and also looking forward to seeing this live coverage with you as we monitor various news stories that are happening out there, including the one in Chicago. I mean, at the end of the day, we know that the right decision, the common sense decision, is to bring in reinforcements. If you have a problem in an area, you have to figure out what to do, and money isn't the only answer. According to the governor there, it is. He says, oh yeah, we'll take the federal tax dollars, but we don't want to take, no troops. It's just a bunch of political crap that they're doing there. So what we're looking at is the common sense of what needs to be done. And so as soon as that happens, there's no timetable yet from the president. He did confirm yesterday that the Illinois National Guard will be on the streets of Chicago. And I'm sure, just like we've seen pictures in D.C. of people fist bumping the National Guard, they're going to be like, thank you. Think about it. If you're on a subway, whether it's New York, whether it's in Chicago, whether even Boston or wherever, or Philadelphia, and you see a couple of National Guard or you see law enforcement, and you're down there on the platform, which I've been on all the platforms. I've been all around, Chicago, New York, when it comes to, O'Hare and all that. And I remember taking the train just a little bit in Chicago. The point is that having National Guard or law enforcement around, you do definitely just be like, okay, this is good. You're safe, And a lot of people just say, hey, just, carry a weapon, 2A, right? The supporters of the Constitution out there. There's a lot of us out there. But for some reason, all these cities are like, no, you can't bring, So it's a whole thing you got to deal with. But having the National Guard there to cut down on crime, working along with local law enforcement, I don't want to take my family to a number of cities out there. I don't, So, and I'm sure that's the same way with a lot of you guys out there as well. We want that safety, we want that law and order, and we can have that through the president. And hopefully, Pritzker and Mayor Johnson will see the light one day. But they're not seeing the light right now. They're seeing darkness. It's dark. And thank God for President Trump and this country, we the people. All right, so we're live again. We see the live pictures there. Speaking of President Trump, speaking of Chicago, let's go to clip one from the president just yesterday.
Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst.
Trump, why not slap additional sanctions on Russia, sir? Why not do that now?
There you go. That's pretty awesome stuff. You know, it's the bottom of the hour, 11:29, almost 11:30 on the East Coast, 8:30 out there on the West Coast. Thanks so much for watching in the Mountain Time Zone, Central Time Zone. Pretty cool stuff. Don't we have the best president in our lifetimes? President Donald Trump, a flyover with the great leader of Poland. And I say the great leader of Poland because if you look at the interaction between the president and President Nawrocki of Poland, you can see there is a mutual respect and support there. And the reason that is, if you've studied any of it or just monitored the news, I know I'm a news nerd, so I do check out this stuff. But, you know, in Poland, this is all about make Poland great again as well. You know, the people of Poland are supporters that voted for Nawrocki are supporters of President Trump. President Trump is a supporter of the Polish leader. I get happy and excited about it because I'm thinking about the fact that this is about the free world, and on the left-wing media, they hate this stuff. Ugh, they don't like it. They're like, oh, patriotism, freedom, ugh. Well, you know what? Who cares about what they say? Because what we say is we're going to pray, we're going to work hard, we're going to vote, we're going to win those midterms, we're going to clean up this country. We're seeing it happen with the National Guard. The National Guard needs to be in every big city in America. Let's be straight up, all right? You want to do the tell it like it is flow? There it is, right? So how awesome was that to see the flyover there? I was wondering why the South Portico was the spot where the world leader was going to show up today, because usually it's on that screen down to the right where the West Wing is. Usually they just pull up, he comes out and waves, a couple questions from the press, they go in, it's the Oval Office. We've seen that before, but today, this is why the flyover happened, as I'm just watching it live with you, is because President Trump supports and likes this guy. He says this is one of the right people, the right side of history types. And so that's why I believe that just happened there in front of all of us. We didn't know that was going to happen, a flyover. I knew it was the South Portico, because it says it on the president's public schedule that we in the media get. But really, the only percentage of media that cares about our country is maybe 3%, maybe 5%. A lot of great conservative outlets out there, including right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. The rest of them, they're all just carrying water for the Democrats. Boo, lame, boring, nothing that we want to see. We want to see the news that matters to us. We want to see common sense reporting. We want to see the president when he's speaking or when he's greeting world leaders. And we want to have commentary that is on the right side of history. That is the basic common sense stuff that's out there. And everything that I just said there, is it eloquent and perfect? No. Am I reading from a teleprompter? Nope. Do I care? Maybe. I got to get better in some ways. We all know that. But the point is, I just love our country just like you do. And we love to see President Trump lead the way. And we want to see the 20 core promises fulfilled. We want to see the whole Epstein situation be taken care of, the releasing of files. We want to see those that broke the law held accountable. We want to see all of that. On this September 3rd, 2025, I know I've said it a few times. I'll just say it one more time. This is my 3rd year anniversary today. At Right Side Broadcasting Network. And the reason why I think I've brought it up a lot is, hey, self-promotion, big deal. Who doesn't do that? Everybody posts stuff. But the point is, to be on the right side of history is really at the core of what I'm really happy about. And it's with Right Side, Think about it. Just imagine if you had to work in mainstream media for freaking 20 years. You know what I mean? Not good. But there really wasn't that many conservative media opportunities. Think about it. 2007, nope. I was working in these local stations around the country, and thank God for those opportunities to build experience and interview a lot of people and cover a lot of stories. But this is the stuff right here on the right side of history. Conservative media, the solution to the mainstream lamestream, as the great and late Rush Limbaugh used to call lamestream media. It was so fun to listen to him. I still listen to his stuff even to this day. Anyway. All right, so 11:33, Wednesday, September 3rd. Why not go to it one more time? Let's go to the clip from September 3rd, 2022. First time I picked up the mic here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So glad to be a part of this network and a part of conservative media. Let's take a look.
And the arena, just about 30 minutes ago was not this packed. At this point, even behind the media risers, some of the seats aren't the greatest, but people don't care. They're here. They're ready to watch the president. They want to, especially after Biden's speech on Thursday, I'm very curious to see what President Trump has to say today. I know he goes off prompter, but I think tonight he's going to come out pretty tough.
So that was when I was referring to that back in September of 2022 about Joe Biden's speech on Thursday, ring a bell. First of all, it didn't do very many speeches. Second of all, it was in Philadelphia outside Independence Hall with the red lights. You remember the whole MAGA extremists with the Marines standing there? I bet you those Marines were probably like, this guy's a joke. I can't wait till Trump gets back in. That's the speech I was referring to. But anyway, yeah, so just... we'll always remember those times that we had together not only myself, but all of the hosts that work here at the network. You've seen Robert McNeely out there. You've seen Megan Kohler, Christina Loren, and many others who have worked at this network. So much respect to conservative media that I have, and to be a part of it, man, it's cool. All right, let's shift gears. As we await President Trump, we're going to see him in the Oval Office with President Nawrocki of Poland in just a minute. Let's do this. Let's go to Homeland Security, where they released a video about ICE. They said in Los Angeles, they've made their 5,000th arrest. Let's take a look at clip 10 as we await the president. And so we know there's Alligator Alcatraz. There's one in Indiana. They're all over the place now, it seems like. There's one in Nebraska, the Cornhusker one. There's now one in Louisiana called the Louisiana Lockup. So there's these different facilities out there simply for this. Not to stay there and live there. It's to deport, to process, to house for a minute, and then they get deported. So that is some news that I saw online from the Department of Homeland Security, that the Louisiana Lockup is now a thing. Well, I mean, what are you going to do, right? I mean, it's criminal illegal aliens. It's people that are from all walks of life. This isn't a race thing. This is a simple crime thing. You know, it's, hey, if you break the law, you got to pay the consequence, and that's how it works. Same thing with those that broke the law when it comes to Russia, but I'm going to let the courts take care of that. We'll see what happens there. We'll bring you the latest as we get it. Speaking of the latest, we know that on September 11th, per Fox, that the president will be in the Bronx. New York Yankees, September 11th, the 24th anniversary of 9/11. So that coverage will be happening, of course, here at the network. And also on September 23rd, the president will return to the Big Apple to address the United Nations. So we'll see that in its entirety, I'm sure, from the UN on the 23rd. So September 11th and the 23rd, the president will be in New York City. We'll have that coverage here at the network. Waiting for a confirmation about the September 11th New York Yankees event, because we'll wait for the White House for that, or from President Trump on Truth Social, but we did see that in some of the reports, as I just mentioned a minute ago. All right, so 11:38, Wednesday, September 3rd. Let's go to a couple sponsors as we await President Donald Trump there in the Oval Office. All Family Pharmacy, great sponsor here at the network, and unfortunately, flu season is here, but the best time to prepare is in case or before you ever get sick. So that's why families across the country are turning to All Family Pharmacy, where you can stock up now and get everything your family needs to have on hand. From essential medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, antivirals, to emergency kits and daily maintenance medications, they have it all. And now you can even get the cutting-edge biohacking products like NAD+, Methylene Blue, the GLP-1 weight loss medications, all in one place. So I'm telling you, they've built a full lineup to help you prepare for anything. So no more scrambling when someone gets sick. It's simple, fast, and reliable. A licensed doctor reviews every order and writes the prescription for you. If you're looking to stay protected and prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code to save that 10% off your order. You can stock up today and have peace of mind tomorrow. In the meantime, let's take a quick commercial break. As soon as we see the president, we'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
All right, welcome back to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. It's 11:41. Now, we do know that those jets that did that flyover were F-35s. That, per the White House assistant to the president, Margot Martin. We're getting that video ready. We'll be able to play that here momentarily. Before we get to that video, we have another sponsor we'd like to talk about. And again, without these great sponsors, we wouldn't be able to show you any of the videos and any of the live coverage that we have here. And then thank you to those that donate as well. But the BRICS Alliance, well, they're growing, and their goal is simple: to destroy the dollar's power. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now more nations are lining up to join. They're building a new digital currency, a currency they'll use instead of the dollar. That means rogue nations can trade without fear of U.S. sanctions. So when the world stops using dollars, the savings lose value overnight. So you don't have to wait for, Washington to admit the truth, which President Trump already knows about BRICS and what's happening there. But you can call 888-617-7994 or that number you see on your screen, or go to rsbnforthegold.com. Protect what you've worked for before the BRICS succeed. Hopefully they don't, in crashing the dollar. So 11:42, Wednesday, September 3rd. Looking live at the White House. As soon as we see that picture from inside the Oval Office, we'll take you there. And I'm sure the president is giving a great tour to the Polish leader. Again, mutual respect and support there by both leaders, and it's great to see that. It's always good when people are on the right side of history and think the same, believe the same when it comes to those common sense policies that we see under President Trump, like we see with Nayib Bukele in El Salvador, like we see in Poland, like we see in Hungary. And hopefully one of these days, Bolsonaro would be back as president in Brazil and other countries around the world that are on the right side of history. How about Malay and Argentina? So that's what this is all about. It's really, God, family, country, and us enjoying our life, but also being able to live freely on this earth. And we know that we can get that through Jesus, but we can also get that through having great leaders out there. So it's 11:43. Let's go to the White House, the Oval Office, right now.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to have President Nawrocki with us of Poland. He did a good job with that, right? Gave me a little different pronunciation. I said, I want to get it perfect. Did I get it right?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Nawrocki.
I better get it right. And the president's been amazing. He had an incredible race. He came from behind and he won very handily. The people of Poland have taken to him immediately. They really love him. There's great love and respect. He's a very successful man, but he went into a political hatchet, so to speak. It was a pretty tough race, pretty nasty race, and he beat them all, and he beat them all very easily. And now he's become even more popular as they got to know him and know him better. He's doing a really fantastic job. So it's an honor I also endorsed him, so I'm very proud of that. I don't endorse too many people, but I endorsed him, and I was very proud of that, the job he's done. I want to thank Vince Haley for that recommendation. Vince was fantastic, and I appreciate it. And I can tell you who really appreciates it, Poland. because they're very happy with their president. And I just want to say it's an honor to have you. We'll be discussing trade and various other things, the things that you discuss. We'll have a few questions from you, and then we'll get on to a discussion, then we'll have lunch, and then he goes and he meets with the Pope. And that'll be very exciting. And say hello to the Pope for me.
Yeah,
okay.
I will.
Thank you very much for being
Thank you
here.
very much.
Thank you very much,
Mr. President. Thank you very much, and I would like to express my gratitude for your invitation. Only after 1 month from my sworn and from celebration for my inauguration, it means that Polish-American relations are very important, very strong. I think that we have so strong relations that we have never had, and it's very important for me. Our relations are based, of course, on the values.
Right.
And thank you very much for your support, for your endorsement during my very hard campaign. I remember it, and I'm very grateful for your support. It was the fight me against others, so your support was very important, and the support of Polish people, Polish diaspora in United States of America. We have almost more than 10 million people here, and they voted for Donald Trump.
They voted for me.
Yeah, and in vast majority they voted also for me, so I would like to say hello to Polish diaspora in United States of America. Those relations for me, for Poland, for Poles, are very important with United States of America, and they are based on values: independence, sovereignty, democracy. And I think, Mr. President, that those values are epitomized by our common heroes,
yes.
Kazimierz Pułaski and Tadeusz Kościuszko. So thank you very much, and I hope it will be very fruitful discussion around the energy, around the economy and military service. Yeah.
And the flyover was very much in honor of your great pilot who just passed away recently, who was a legend in Poland. You might want to say something about him.
Yes, of course, it was a terrific accident in Poland. Thank you for this gesture that F-35 opened our meeting. Major Krakowian was one of the best Polish pilots, well-honed Polish pilots, and he died. He lost 2 children, so it was a great tragedy.
He was a legend in Poland,
He
actually,
was
a legend as a pilot. He was an incredible pilot, and I think he went to the Air Force Academy, actually. But he was a fantastic pilot, and it was a big setback. The people of Poland are very, very sad. So we thought we'd do that. That was the single plane that swooped up.
And machines, American machines, opened our meeting. It was great. And we are waiting for 32 F-35s in Poland. So it also shows that we have great relations according to the best military equipment on the world, American equipment, which build Polish security too.
Well, Poland, we've had a tremendous relationship. I think now it's better than ever because of this relationship. It's a little special because we fought together. But we've always been very good, and we have some wonderful people, as you know. Duda, my friend, he's a good man, and still a big fan of yours, very much so. So it's a great honor, and we're going to talk about trade. We'll talk about some other things. We'll take a couple of questions from the media.
Will American soldiers remain in Poland? Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, do you know something I don't? I don't know. Yeah, we're very happy. If anything, we'll put more there if they want. But they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We have some countries that have more, not too many, but no, they'll be staying in Poland. We're very much aligned with Poland.
Sir, on Russia and China, sir, can we ask about, we saw a dramatic picture where we saw the leaders of Russia and North Korea and China together, the first time the leaders of those 3 countries have been together in this sort of show of solidarity. You said that they're conspiring against the United States. What do you think they're conspiring to do? And given this, is it reason why you should slap or would consider slapping secondary sanctions on Russia if they're conspiring against the U.S. now?
Well, I've already done that with regard to India, and we're doing it with regard to other things. And I put out a truth last night. You saw that. And I was the one that brought it up. I said, they're only doing this. They're looking to, when they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine, but I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during that speech because we helped China very, very much.
What was the reason? They should have been invited. What was the reason? Mr. President, do you think they should have been invited?
Yes, go ahead.
You've expressed many times your frustration and disappointment with Putin, but there's no action since you took your office.
How do you know there's no? How do you know there's no action? Really? Wait. Who are you with?
I'm with Polish radio.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal, would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet or phase 3. But when you say there's no action, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems, and that's what happened. So don't tell me about that.
Mr. President,
right now there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massey, who is sponsoring a discharge position to get the House to vote on the release of those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow-walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do, all run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
When should you make a decision on Ukraine, Mr. President?
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
Venezuela, can you give us a sense of what the U.S. policy or what you're trying to achieve with the aircraft carriers, or the boats, I should say, in near Venezuela, and also the boat that you mentioned yesterday where 11 people were killed? What was found on that boat, and why were the men killed instead of taken into
On the boat, you had massive amounts of drugs. We have tapes of them speaking. It was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. and everybody fully understands that. In fact, you see it. You see the bags of drugs all over the boat, and they were hit. Obviously, they won't be doing it again, and I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this. We have to protect our country, and we're going to. Venezuela's been a very bad actor. They've been, as you know, they've been sending millions of people into our country, many of them Tren de Aragua, some of the worst gangs, some of the worst people anywhere in the world in terms of gangs. And we had some in Washington, D.C. We took care of them very quickly, but they're out of here. They've gone. But Venezuela's been very bad, both in terms of drugs and sending some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world into our country. They emptied out, you don't know this, but they emptied out their prisons in Venezuela, and they emptied them out into the United States of America. And that's part of the problem we have. We're getting them out. We're getting them out rapidly, but it's caused a tremendous problem. And Pete and all of the people that are working very hard to rectify the stupidity of the Biden administration, allowing these people to pour into our country with open borders. We are paying a big price as a country for the incompetence of the Biden administration. But think of it, opened up prisons, drug dealers, drug lords, everything coming out of Venezuela, they said, and we said, we're not going to put up with it anymore. So Venezuela has been one of the worst actors in the whole group, and we have a group of pretty bad actors.
Are you wanting to force the
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. At the end of this month, the government or the Congress has to pass a budget. Do you think we can avoid a government shutdown?
Yeah, I do. I think the Republicans will vote for an extension. We won't have any Democrat votes. We could give the greatest budget ever. Tax cut of 50%, everybody taken care of, perfect for women, perfect for men, perfect for minorities, perfect for everything, and we wouldn't get one vote for the Democrats because they've lost their mind. They are so deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't want to burden the Republican Party with it, but they really are. They've become almost sick. They actually think there is a disease. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. They've got it. No matter what we did, no matter how good, you could give them everything that they've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't get one vote. These are sick people, and I think we're going to have a tremendous midterm. We just approved the largest tax decrease in the history of our country. We have things, if you think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our seniors, no tax on overtime, deductions when you buy a car and you borrow money to buy a car. First time they've ever seen anything like this. Middle-income people get deductions. You get a deduction when you buy a car. Nobody's ever seen. And by the way, they're selling cars like crazy. Cars are pouring back because of the fact that we have tariffs. Cars are pouring back into our car plants are pouring back into our nation. They're coming from all over the world. They're coming back. You know, we lost about 54% of automobile manufacturing over a 30-year period, 35-year period. They're all coming back. I think they're coming back higher than ever before. We have AI going up. What we've done is amazing, and what we've passed is amazing. But the Democrats, I don't believe, will get one vote. It's very anti-crime. We want anti-crime. They're in favor of crime. We're against crime. You know, they gave us things like men playing in women's sports, open borders for everybody, transgender for everybody. I mean, they wanted transgender for all of the crazy things that they were saying. And, you know, people would say they're 80-20 issues. I say they were 97-3. I always say 97-3, and nobody knows who the three are. This is the best issue of all. They are against preventing crime. They are fighting us. I want to go into Chicago, and I have this incompetent governor that doesn't want us. Do you know that this weekend 72 people were shot in Chicago? I'm embarrassed to say it in front of the president of Poland. 11 people were killed. 72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your number one place. I hate to say it.
Yeah, a lot of Poles in Chicago.
And we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed. The week before that, 5 people were killed, and 21 people were shot. This is in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, I lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped. If you look at Washington, D.C., 3 weeks ago, it was the same or worse. And now it's considered a totally safe zone. Restaurants are open. They're bustling. Restaurants, you have to see, Restaurants were dying. Nobody wanted to go out. They didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be mugged. They didn't want to be attacked even in the restaurant. And you take a look at what's happened. Friends of mine that haven't gone to a restaurant in 4 years, one of them went out 5 times in the last 2 weeks to a restaurant with his family. They feel totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. You're not reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago, or do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D.C. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us to go into Chicago if we don't have the support of some of these politicians. But I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago. And I sort of want them to let it be known. They have incompetent people. A guy like Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of a state that if we didn't go into Los Angeles with our soldiers, with our National Guard, you wouldn't even be having the Olympics there. They were going to take it. And remember this, your top law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said, there's no way we could have done this without President Trump coming in with the troops. We saved Los Angeles and we saved the Olympics. Thank you very much.
I've got to say, thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Mr. President, in regards to Gavin Newsom, would you be open to a congressional investigation in regards to the specific Palisades fire where it killed 12 seniors to see if there's any negligence on Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass in regards to those deaths?
Well, I'll tell you, there's negligence on not getting people permits. That is negligent. We got all of the federal permits. Lee Zeldin, the federal permits are much more difficult. They were all gotten within 30 days. People could go build their houses. It's going to be years before they are allowed to build the house. And Karen Bass is grossly incompetent. And Newsom, this is a very incompetent guy. I watched him with the hands. I'm saying, what's going on with the hands? There's something wrong with him. You watch him. There's something wrong with this guy. But more importantly, he didn't allow the water to come from the Pacific Northwest. You know, they have tremendous amounts of water in California. People don't know. They send the water out to the Pacific Ocean. So I demanded it be open. If that were open during the fire, before the fire, you wouldn't have had the fire because all the sprinklers would have worked in the houses. They had no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants. You wouldn't have had the fires. It would have been put out after one house, 2 houses. But he stopped the water from coming in. And I had to send in the military to have that water opened after the fires. And now they have water, but he should have more because they've restricted. They still restricted. There's something wrong with these people. There's something really wrong. As to investigation, I view it as a gross incompetence. I view it as an ideology that's wrong. It's a radical left ideology. And if I didn't win this election, I think our country would be destroyed. I don't believe you'd be here right now, and our country would be destroyed. Yeah.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
thank you, sir. What are the most important branches of interest between Poland and U.S. hierarchy?
Well, it's just the relationship we have. I think there's a great trust and a great, more than most countries, more than almost any countries. We have some in a category that's very special, and Poland is in that category. We have a very special relationship. It's like the question about the soldiers that was asked. We never even thought in terms of removing soldiers from Poland. We do think about it with regard to other countries, but we would never know. We're with Poland all the way, and we will help Poland protect itself.
I would like to add something. Yeah, of course, security is most important also for our relation. And I'm a historian, as you know, maybe, Mr. President.
Sure.
I'm a historian, and this is the first time in Polish history, in 20th century and the 21st century, that the Poles are happy that we have foreign soldiers. in Poland. So the American soldiers are the part of our society nowadays. We have almost 10,000 soldiers, and this is the signal to the whole world and also to the Russian Federation that we are together. But we are not like the Poland free riders in Europe and in NATO. Mr. President Trump knows it, because our GDP for military service achieved 4.7. So we are probably the one NATO nation which is on this level, and we will not stop. Me, as the President of Poland, we are going to achieve 5% of GDP for military service, but with American soldiers on Polish soil, we solidify and we are secure.
Just about that, Poland was one of two nations that paid more than they were supposed to with NATO. I don't know if anyone knows that, but there were two nations, and Poland paid more than they were supposed to. They thought it was low. And by the way, since then, at my request, they've raised it from 2% to 5%. But Poland was one of two nations that paid more than they were supposed to, which was a very nice thing. Yeah.
You were not invited to the parade in Beijing.
Never even thought about it until just now.
President Nawrocki, what's your message for President?
Never even thought. It wouldn't have been my place to be there.
On tariffs? Will you visit a restaurant in D.C.? You haven't gone to...
I might, sure.
You haven't gone to one in either of your terms that wasn't...
How do you know? How do you know?
Because I and many other...
Do you want me to prove you wrong? Do you want me to prove you wrong?
Yes, please.
But I will, I think it's something we could consider doing. I'd love to do it. I love the White House food, but after a while I can see going to a nice restaurant. It's safe. If you would have said, like the Governor Moore wanted me to go and walk through Baltimore with him, and I said, I think I'm a brave guy, but there's no reason to be stupid. They have crime that's at levels that nobody's ever seen before in Baltimore. They've done a terrible job. We'd go into Baltimore, straighten it out very quickly, too. You know why? They respect our soldiers. You see our soldiers. They respect our soldiers. We'd go there, too. But we're going to have people asking us to go. They're going to want to, and I think the people of those places the politicians are not in tune with the people. The people in Chicago, the people in Baltimore, the people in all of the places we talk about, they want to see us there. And I think we're pretty much waiting till we get asked, and properly. Because we're doing them a big service. Yeah, please.
You're talking about how historic these tariffs have been, bringing in revenue, additional revenue for our country. You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Possible.
Do you think that's...
Someday it's possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887, they had the Great National Tariff Act. And it was a group of people that got together because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out money to everybody because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913. We ended them in 1913. How did that work out? And then we went to the income tax system, and then we had the Depression. And by the way, a lot of people try and say that, tariffs with the Depression. No, they ended in 1913, and then we went to income tax, and then in 1929 you had the Depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the Depression had long started, and this poor, beautiful nation was gone. It was gone. We suffered for 25 years. It took 25, 30 years to really recover from the Depression. And we don't ever want to see that happen again. The tariffs are vital to the success of this country. When I say I ended 7 wars, at least half of those wars were ended because of the power of tariffs. I was able to say, well, we're not doing any business with you, or if you're going to war, we're putting a big tariff on you. And all of a sudden they announced that the war was settled. I settled 7 different wars, one going 31 years, look at the Congo and Rwanda, look at that, 31 years, 10 million people dead, I got it settled. And a little bit of that one, less than in some cases, had to do with trade and had to do with tariffs. So, tariffs are vital to our country. And just so you know, other countries use them on us, but I just used them a lot better. We're in a much better position. We have trillions of dollars coming into our country. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be a very poor nation, and we would be taken advantage of by every other nation in the world, friend and foe. We're not going to let that happen. And we have a very, very big case in the Supreme Court. I can only say this. Our country has a chance to be unbelievably rich again, but it can also be unbelievably poor again. If we don't win that case, our country is going to suffer so greatly.
What's the backup plan, sir?
But I think we're going to have a big victory. Even if you look at the people that brought the case, they're foreign-oriented. They're foreign. Countries have taken advantage of the United States for so many years. And I started with China. You know, last term, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China. But when COVID came, the last thing I was going to do is we're going to tariff France and Italy and, you know, others, Spain, when they were doing so badly. But now we made a deal with the European Union where they're paying us almost $1 trillion, and they're happy to do it. You know what? They're happy. It's done. These deals are all done. I guess we'd have to unwind them. We've done deals with Japan, with South Korea. We've done deals with many countries and others to come. And if we didn't have the power, prestige, and dignity of tariffs, and I used them wisely, and people respect America again, and we've become a rich country again. The money coming in is incredible. And again, they use them on us. If we didn't have them, they would use them on us, and we would have no way to fight them. We would be a third world nation. So I think it's one of the most important cases I've ever seen go before the Supreme Court of the U.S.
2 weeks ago, you gave Vladimir Putin a 2-week deadline to agree to talks with Volodymyr Zelensky. That deadline is now nearly approached. Can you give us any indication of when you will make it?
Well, I'm having a conversation with him very shortly, and I'll know pretty much what we're going to be doing. We've taken very strong action, as you know, and in other ways we've taken very strong action. But I'll be speaking to him over the next few days, and we're going to see.
With who, sir?
I'm going to know exactly what's happening.
Mr.
But I'm not happy with all the people. You got 7,819 people killed last week. Russian soldiers and Ukraine soldiers, right? Not American soldiers, not soldiers from Poland, but they're human beings, they're souls. They have parents, they wave goodbye to their parents, and their parents never see them again. That's the end of them. Over a stupid war, and I want to see it stopped. Now, we have stopped the money we send weapons to NATO, they pay full price. We don't, you know, Biden spent $350 billion so stupidly. And it was one of the reasons that this whole thing happened. A big reason this war happened was sitting right in these chairs, this one in particular. So I will tell you that I think we're going to have a good solution. But they're losing soldiers at levels that nobody has seen since the Second World War. This is the worst conflict, and it's just going on and on. It's one's defense, one's offense. The offense moves a little bit. Just a little bit. You take a look. They move inches. They're dropping bombs and killing everybody. The whole thing is not since the Second World War has there been anything even close to this. And they're not soldiers from my country. This is my country. But I have a power to end things. That's why I was able to end 7 other wars. And you know that I thought of the 7, they're basically 7. Those were tough wars to end. Much tougher, I thought, than the war with Ukraine and Russia. I thought that Ukraine and Russia have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that would be much easier. I thought that would be in the middle of the pack, maybe one of the easiest. Sometimes you never know with war. You know, war is a very interesting thing. You never know with war. War is complex and dangerous, and what a mess, what a bloody mess. It's going to get done one way or the other. But they have to stop killing all of these souls. They're souls, and we have to stop killing.
Just a follow-up on that.
Keep moving. Thank you. Out the door. Guys, out the door.
All right, a great meeting there between the President of the United States and the President of Poland, of course, Karol Nawrocki. It's awesome to see two people on the right side of history that are doing it for the right reasons for the people of our respective nations, of course, here in the United States and there in Poland. Now, President Trump said something quite profound. He usually does anyway. But in the context of speaking about all of the high crime cities out there, he said simply, quote, "The politicians are not in tune with the people." And he was referring to, again, governors, mayors of many times, always Democrat, of high crime cities. Again, the politicians are not in tune with the people. That's exactly what we talk about here at this network all the time. Great to hear that statement from the commander-in-chief. Isn't that the truth? Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago, the governor, J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom, Mayor Bass in L.A., they're not in touch with the people. And that's the difference between winning and losing. All right, so 12:15 Eastern Time, Wednesday, September 3rd. Thanks so much for watching Right Side Broadcasting Network. Before we go, we were seeing that F-35 flyover that happened as the two leaders met outside the White House, the South Portico, so the South Lawn side. I was wondering why they were meeting there instead of the front lawn, because usually it's the North Lawn where the world leaders show up. Well, now we know the answer to that, but first let's look at this great video that Margot Martin, the White House assistant to the president, posted online. Now, that's how the meeting started, talking about the F-35 flyover. So the context for that is that the President of the United States, of course, Donald Trump, requested the flyover in honor of a legendary pilot in Poland who recently passed away, Major Maciej Krakowian, who graduated, we're told, from the United States Air Force Academy. So overall, a wonderful meeting there. Two great world leaders in Washington today. So glad you chose Right Side Broadcasting Network to watch this live stream. Speaking of the live stream, it all brought to you by a number of great sponsors. So we're going to thank a few of those before we wrap up for the day. If there's any other breaking news or other news coverage, of course, we'll be right here live for it. Looking forward to that if it happens, as it's 12:17 Eastern Time. Let's go with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Use that RSBN 10 promo code. Monetary Gold as well, a great sponsor here. We're about to interview one of the people with Monetary Gold in just a minute. Kalshi.com. You could also get that Kalshi app if you'd like. Angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. Thank you also to Cove Pure. Always good to have better tasting water, clean water, great water right there. CovePure.com/RSBN. And then also Tax Network USA. 800-357-1415 is the number. Great sponsorship here at Right Side Broadcasting Network for all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Today's date, September 3rd, 2025. For all of us here at Right Side, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interviewed the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10%